What's up, ladies? What's up, ladies and gents? Welcome back again to another pre-race show. I'm here as always with my buddy Drip, and here we are back for round 5 of ZRL Division 1 around Brazil Interlagos. Drip, welcome to the show. How you feeling for this race? What are your
I'm
thoughts?
uh, I'm I'm looking forward to seeing some good racing around here. Sao Paulo does always produce a lot of action. Um, it's a track that is very tight, but when drivers go wheel to wheel, it usually lasts a little while because a lot of corners feed into each other. So super excited to see what we get for some action.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, like you say, it's a really iconic circuit. I mean, both in real life and for esports in real life. I can remember 2007, 2008, the Lewis Hamilton drama where he lost one, but then won the next. Seb Vettel winning his third world championship from like the back of the grid in 2012. So like, you know, really nice track, really exciting track to watch some racing. And as you say, there's one corner that goes into another, so it really depends where you position your car. You want to have the inside for the next corner, but do you compromise exit on the corner coming into the like the next section of corners? So speaking of standings, we see right now Hudson Pool currently has a 40-point lead on Jeffrey Lawler, who's P2. So what are your thoughts about on that? Do you think we're gonna see a little shake-up in the standings, or are the top three just gonna keep incrementing their lead?
I think Hudson's pretty much locking out his P1 here. He's showing everybody this is my championship. It's
Okay.
not it's not set in stone yet, but
Hmm.
this is mine. No one's taking this from me. But looking at P2, 3, 4, even five's not that far off. They're pretty close to each other, so I think that side of things may shake up. Ian's had another strong performance again for Ferrari, so I
Yeah.
can see him trying to push a little bit harder, especially with the full qualifying this week. But the
True.
Alpines are right there.
Yeah.
So
Consistency.
we keep seeing them creep up and up and up. So we
Yeah.
may see them in the top three.
True. In that I agree. The unseen threat, and they have been there since race one. And as you say, you bring up a pretty good point, which is a full qualifying. So I mean, ideally, you want to go through Q1 with one set of tires, right? But I don't know. I mean, pressures are so high. Track temperature. I mean, track evolution is a big factor. So perhaps you go out a bit too soon. You make a mistake. You're kind of forced to use that second set of softs in order to get to Q2. So I don't know what are your thoughts on like tire management? Do you think we're gonna see drivers leave like at the very last second of Q1, or do you think there are gonna be some that don't really care about wasting two sets?
I think tire management throughout qualifying is going to be a little bit more relaxed this week, as we've seen through many races in actual F1 and in other divisions. It's a track where qualifying position isn't necessarily the most important. There's a lot of room to chase people down. There's a lot of room to make up throughout the race, especially because of that pit entry and exit. You're very compromised, and you actually lose a lot of time through there. So the pit stop in the race becomes almost more important than the qualifying position.
Yeah, like you
Uh,
say.
Especially with that tricky entry that everybody loves to fly in and come
I
borderline to just blowing right past the speed limit line. So it's I think people are, especially people who may not think that they're going to be shooting for top 5 in Q3. I can see them going through maybe a couple sets in Q2 just to make sure that they do get through. Almost like a Williams, get to Q3, don't actually go out, just take P10 and be happy with it.
Okay, yeah, that's an interesting strategy, and also you bring up a really good point, which is track position. Like you say, it's not important, but then again, um, what if you try to undercut or overcut someone who's ahead of you? I mean, like you say, the pit window is so important in this track because as you say, you can lose. Like if you have a monstrous in lap, then you could probably overcut someone who had a bad outlap on cold tires. For example, like as you say, the pit exit is like you feel you can go full throttle to the exit, like into the second DRS straight where it drops you. But I mean, if you have those cold tires, the car will kind of like snap into the barrier. So it's just one little mistake. So I think that's a pretty interesting point you raise. I mean, I think pit outlap and inlap are gonna be crucial, and also, something I want to discuss is, well, as we always do, is ERS management. I mean, we know it's the one, we know it's a train is gonna form, but do you go for first of all, do you go for like a very low downforce setup and just be a missile on the straights, or do you become competitive in sector two of the circuit and opt for higher downforce?
I think Sector 2 is going to be more important on this track. We're seeing the new handling model catch a lot of people out, making the cars unstable. The back end loves to dance around on these cars, so I think it's going to be much more of a handling stability
Okay.
focused track.
Mhm.
The straightaways here, you're either in DRS or that's one of the only real places you're using your ERS. And through Sector 2, you can do a lot of off throttle, partial on throttle to
Yeah.
regain that battery life. So I think it's going to be a lot of management and a lot more higher downforce. You might see a few people go for a low downforce setup that like to slide the car a little bit,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
that we'll see how the tires like that one.
All right, I agree. And coming back to the first point you say where one corner leads into another, I want to talk about the two DRS zones. I mean, you have one after the other DRS detection point blaze past in the first DRS and hope the car behind has a bad exit so he doesn't catch you back. Because, it's a bit of mind games here you can play.
I think it's a little bit of I don't know. The way I like to approach it is when I'm driving behind somebody or somebody that I want to go and overtake,
Mm-hmm.
I'll usually watch them for a lap, and if
Okay.
I'm faster than them in turn 1 and turn 2, like if I'm gaining position on them,
Mm-hmm.
I'll make sure that I get the move done on the straightaway. But
Okay.
if I'm gaining on them towards at the end of the second DRS zone, I'll focus more on my exit out of turn 1 and 2 to get a run on them and get it done before that corner. So I
Okay.
think it's more of and that's something we see a lot out of our Division 1 drivers. They know each other in and out, where their strengths and weaknesses are.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be a lot of, am I better at cornering than you, or did I get a better run down the straight than you?
Exactly.
And that's how they'll make their decision.
All right, that's the question. And I think that's crucial. I mean, getting a good run of turns one and two. Because if you put the power down just a bit too early, that back end is gonna say nope. Like there's not enough grip, and you're gonna have to lift. And when you lift, that compromises you from the driver behind. So high stakes, also high rewards. Um, I also believe that it's all about keeping your cool because you have cars so close behind you. I mean, I know these are D1 drivers that are basically used to the pressure, but even like if you lose like if you have a tiny snap of oversteer in sector 2, I mean it's basically over because you have 8 10 hungry wolves behind you who didn't have that snap of oversteer and are on the racing line. So I don't know. I think like you mentioned before, car setup is going to be crucial. trying to keep that back end in check. And yeah, I want to talk a bit about qualifying qualifying positions. Do you think what are going to be some surprises? I think you said earlier that perhaps I know it was theoretical, but Williams in Q3, perhaps.
Possibly. I mean, the Williams drivers have been showing a lot of strength throughout races and qualifying in the last few races.
Yeah, both of them.
Not
Eric
really
and
showing out the
Tom.
best on the actual standings board,
Mm,
but we know we've been able to see that they do have it there in them. And I
I
think
agree.
this is a track that does favor the person who can get a lucky one lap in
Mm,
because sometimes you can't get a lap in. There's a lot of corners where that right
I feel
racing
you.
line is directly on the border of track
Yeah,
limits.
I feel you.
Turn I forget the turn number, but the Lewis and Max turn where they both went absurdly wide.
One, two,
That
turn
turn loves to catch people out at the outer apex. I
three or
believe
four,
that's
yeah,
four,
or
yeah,
four, yeah. I think it's four. Okay, yeah. But yeah,
numbers. But
true. That corner, we all know which corner it
yeah,
is. Yeah.
exactly.
Hmm.
But yeah, I think the Williams drivers can come out and show some speed. But the one thing we saw in Division 4 that I don't know, I wasn't prepared for was the rain in qualifying. And that just
Yes.
flipped things on its head because
Yes.
anybody can go fast in the rain. You get out at the right time and things dry up a little bit. You get onto the inters. You could have your slowest driver on pole position.
Technically, yeah.
So
Rain changes everything. Yeah, you're
exactly.
right. And it was only for Q1, right? Because Q2
It
and
was
Q3
only
were.
for Q1, yeah.
Damn.
Q2 started out dark. There was a little bit of rain coming down, but the track was dry.
All right.
By the end of it, it was bone dry.
Damn. So yeah, as you say, I mean, rain changes absolutely everything. I mean, from setups to braking points to even to the line you take. Because if you take too much apex in the wet, you're probably gonna spin.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I mean, as always, as always, weather is a pretty influential factor on races, and yeah, I'm super stoked to see what different surprises we're gonna have in Brazil. Also, want to add it's a track that hearing around the paddock, a lot of drivers like it. Like from D1 to D4, it's super popular. A lot of drivers feel confident in Brazil. So yeah, I'm expecting to have tight racing, clean racing, and yeah, hopefully some other drivers can challenge Hudson for its before he pulls out another 40 points on everybody. But yeah, I'm stoked to see the race. So yeah, anything else you would like to add, Drip?
Yeah, no, just hitting on the same points you brought up about the track. There. I never hear a bad thing said about Sao Paulo. It's a whole lot of fun, no matter the discipline. It's appeared in a bunch of other games like Gran Turismo, and it works well in GT cars. It works well on
Mm-hmm.
motorbikes. It works well
Yes.
in these cars. And Assetto Corsa with mods tells me it works good with shifter carts too. So,
Ooh,
whole lot of fun, and we'll
that's
see what
really
these
cool.
guys can do with it.
All right. So yeah, you heard it here, ladies and gents. Grab something to drink, grab something to eat, and don't miss because full quality for Brazil. D1 is coming right up. So don't go anywhere.
Hudson Pool to win this race. Hudson Pool with an easy win.
Division 1 winner, Hudson Pool.
We are back. They're going to go 3 wide down the main straight. Jeffrey Lawler and Aston Martin Racing taking the win.
Tough day for the Ferraris.
Jeffrey Lawler comes out behind Hudson Pool.
Hudson is your starting grade P1. Your Division 1 winner, Hudson Pool.
Duncan McCamick and Hudson Pool P6, P15, but the rain is coming. Hudson Pool goes into the lead of the race. Hudson Pool with an easy win.
Good evening, everybody. It's another Sunday night. Welcome to Zoom Racing's League's Division 1 action. We're in week 5 here. We're in Sao Paulo. Driver favorite track. Everyone loves driving around here. 15 turns, 10 to the left, 5 to the right here in Brazil. 5th race of the season, and we're starting to see the championship kind of take place. 2 DRS zones here in Brazil. Great overtaking opportunities, especially in the back straight and front straight between turns 3 and 4. Tonight, I'm joined by the one and only John Ranger. John, welcome to the booth. Thanks for hopping in.
Thank you.
Constructors,
Absolutely.
man. What do you guys got? Yep. We have no audio. Great. All right, we'll fix it. Thanks. All right. Thank you for the technical difficulties, guys. Appreciate you all letting us get that back set. I think now we have John Ranger. So, John, you gave me an incredible rundown of the constructors' standings, starting with kind of Red Bull at the top. I want to go back to you. It was great. Can you recap what you went over?
Yeah, briefly, Red Bull, Alpine, Aston Martin, and Ferrari are our top fours there. And what we're seeing here is Red Bull could have a bad weekend, and Ferrari could basically catch up to them. Between 186 points and 142 points, things could change rather drastically. We've seen things switch around really quickly. By the end of tonight, we could see Alpine drop down to as far as P4 and Ferrari come back to P2. Who knows what we're going to have tonight? Let's not forget we're having full quali, so that's going to be a big part of it tonight. And so far, in many races we've had this weekend, we've had a lot of rain, so that could shake things up a little bit as well. We've got to make sure the drivers are prepared as well for dry weather and wet weather as well. We've seen a lot of wet weather recently. Looking down further down the grid, sitting in P5 is in McLaren, and I was saying earlier that Mercedes sitting in P6 is definitely not what they would be expecting so far in the season. They'll have some time to turn it around and maybe aim for a top 3 position in the constructors if they really do turn things around. But I think Weavis is going to have a little discussion with his boys. Maybe they need some more practice. Alfa Romeo just right behind them in 72 points. So, Mercedes want to be looking ahead of them at McLaren to get to P5, but got to be careful in Alfa Romeo. So on track when you see really important battles with them, with these drivers, and key positioning is going to be good for the Brazil race tonight. AlphaTauri and Williams are not having really the best seasons, and looking at the driver standings when I looked over them earlier, getting prepped for this session, really, it all comes down to driver availability. Really, some drivers have not started races or did not finish races. So if they could get that going and fixed for the rest of the season, they'll be racking up a lot more points.
Yeah, I think that there's so many little battles too going on between each kind of like tier in the divisions, right? I'm really intrigued at the McLarens and the Alfa Romeos, which I mean, are we really sure? If you told us at the beginning of the season that they'd be fighting with Mercedes, sign me up, right? I think that'd be a great battle. And then at the top, yeah, those top 4 especially, and I want to keep an eye on Ferrari, right? Peter Giordano had an incredible recovery race last week, and he's sitting at P8 in the constructor standings, which isn't really where he's used to being. So I think Ferrari has a little bit more in the tank. And then I think you guys have to look out for Alpines. The advantage with Luke and Maitre Castleman is that they're always up there together, right? They can do team orders, they can strategize together because they're both really similar in pace. So I think they're really strong working together. Speaking of Luke, and I want to bring in Duncan McCamick too, is we had a little bit of a ruckus last week, right? There was some controversy on track, John, and quali bans for both.
Absolutely. Now the question is, having both of them being quali banned, well, where do they start? Are they starting P19, P18? We've heard that Pierre Giordano also has a quali ban and will be starting P20, and he's going to take that P20 position. He seems to be hungry for that last to first position kind of challenge he wants to have tonight. But now, what are we going to do with Luke and Duncan?
So once we get you guys into quali, let's bring in Luke and Duncan and hear what they have to say.
Peter.
Absolutely.
Luke, Duncan.
Oh,
what's going on, guys?
The Doghouse Boys. Here we are.
Yeah, you're in the doghouse tonight. Exactly, right? We are about to do a coin flip to see if you all are going to start P18 and P19.
Okay.
But before we get that action started, as Peter's already retired from the session, right? It got a little spicy last week after the race, right? I mean, kind of the incident between you guys. I kind of want to get your take on it. Duncan, I want to start with you, man. What are your thoughts?
Oh, no. Why you got to put me on the spot?
I'm putting you on the spot.
Well, okay,
the
so I'll say
content.
Luke and I have already talked, right? And we've already decided there's no bad blood there. But we both agree to disagree, right? So, and that's okay. I fully expect him to stand up for himself, and obviously I'm going to stand up for myself. But I thought I left him room on the outside last week, and I felt like he drove into the wall on his own, and he kind of initiated the incident. So you saw how it ended up.
No, I appreciate it. I'm glad you guys synced up too, right? I mean, I think that kind of speaks to the both competitiveness, sportsmanship of the league. Luke, Thermo, I got to go to you. Oh, what was your take?
Definitely both me and Duncan could have done a better job during that whole incident. You know, me on my pot with touching the wall and Duncan on his spot closing the gap. But hey, that's racing. There's incidents always. And the point is that we get angry, we shrug it off, and we get up ready for the next week.
That's it. All right, John, you got a coin flip up?
I've got a coin flip ready, and I'm just want to tell you guys, it wouldn't be an F1 sport if we didn't have flames going on in the background there. So a lot of things we see on the division on our broadcast, but there's a lot of fun in our Discord. So people that are listening to us that have not joined yet should definitely be looking into it. A lot of spicy action going on over there. All right, so I'm got the coin flip over here. We put you on the spot earlier, Duncan. I'm gonna put you on the spot now, Luke. What is your call for the coin flip?
Tails.
So tails means Luke, you start P18, and Duncan will have to retire early to get P19. So I'm doing the coin flip right now.
Please.
It is.
Oh no.
It is heads.
Yes.
Oh!
There it is. There it is.
All right. Good luck, Luke. I'll see
luck,
you on the
guys.
track.
Duncan and
Thank you,
Luke,
guys.
thanks. Good luck, guys.
Thanks.
John, that was kind of a first for us, man. A first for us on the content side as we see guys starting to set laps here in D1. Ethan Patel reserving for AlphaTauri was on provisional pole for about half a second. And then the Merc of Era comes in with a 1:08.0. But, John, that was kind of fun to do. I think we should kind of like stirring the pot.
Yeah, that was definitely. Why not make things make spicy situations even spicier and cause some drama? I mean, drama doesn't attract the views.
Exactly.
I mean, I mean the opposite. Drama does attract views. That's what I meant to say.
Right.
We want things fun around here, and what is fun is, as we've obviously seen, you see both drivers involved in an incident and with spicy arguments. It resolved everything with a nice little coin flip, and we go on and we're racing and we're having fun tonight. So let's keep on going.
Yeah. Something interesting I've noticed already, John. We got four guys rather, that have intermediate tires set. So I'm not sure of the weather. We may be able to get some intel from the paddock in a little bit. I'm not sure what the weather outlook looks like, but you see these guys on inters, you'd think at least they'd go out and set a soft tire lap. It's not raining right now, right? So I don't understand the tire choice.
I don't either, although this is full qualifying, and we've seen or I've heard about the strategy being talked about. Guys that are confident with their pace would try to go out on inters and see if they could get a top 15 lap. I mean, given the fact that we've got Peter, Luke, and Duncan that are disqualified from qualifying so far, it's going to be drivers from P16 to P20, so only 2 drivers will actually be eliminated out of their race pace. So given that situation, I think some drivers are very confident about their pace and think they could go out there on inters and not use one of their soft tire sets and use that for Q2 and Q3 afterwards. Now, it's a gamble. Weather does look dark. I'm not seeing any rain whatsoever. So I think this is really purely a strategic kind of call on their end.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting call, right? And see, the fastest intermediate tire run, we were on with Red Potato, who's reserving in the McLarens this week, but the fastest intermediate tire run was set by Maxime Beaulieu with a 1:11.8, of course, on a dry track. So yeah, we'll kind of see it. You brought up a good point with the full quali, right? We got 3 guys that have already essentially retired. We had a similar situation in D4 where a couple guys DNF'd early, and there's really only one driver knocked out based on pace. Unfortunately, that was yours truly, but I wonder how that alters the strategy going forward, and that's kind of what you were just getting into, right? So qualifying can kind of be a toss-up here. I'm not sure even who I would pick could be those 2 guys, but I don't know. Maybe BMF already with a lap on inters has got to go set something up that improves, and if the weather doesn't improve, he might not have the opportunity to set something quick.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think if we've seen Big Mama Frank pull a 119 on the inters, it probably doesn't look. I mean, that lap time is definitely not going to hold up on these inters. So I think he's actually going to switch to softs on my screen. On my end here, I'm seeing him on soft. So we'll see what he's gonna go for. And I think Maxime Beaulieu is also going for softs as well. So I don't think that inter strategy is gonna work out for these boys. They're gonna realizing it pretty soon, and like I mean, we're in D1 here, so expect fast times all over the grid. But I think one of the things D1 is known for, and we can kind of see it already in the lap times between P2 and P8, P9, I would almost say, or P3, as I would say, as Aaron Altmaier just pulled a 1081. But from P3 all the way to P7, P8, there's not that much time difference. So, I mean, you could gain a full 10th on your lap and jump 3 positions. So I would not be in a position. I don't think gambling on the intermediate tires is a good call to do. And unfortunately, wasting time on the Q1. There's 9 minutes left. You probably have 1 or 2 chances to do a fast lap now.
Yeah, I think we'll see some of the top guys too. We see them in the pit. Essentially, Nathan Patel, Gator, Sleek. They probably think that they're safe, at least from bottom 2. Let's take a ride with Ian Krieger. Currently in P17, of course, doesn't have a lap set on his soft tire run. He goes in the Senna S, his hard braking zone. Got to keep really tight on that curve in turn 1 on the left-hand side as he goes between turn 3 and 4, the first DRS zone. It's important to carry as much speed as possible here, but I think more important too, John, is the entry into turn 4. You got to take as much of that curve, like you say, right to the end. He went a little bit wide there, but you really got to carry as much speed as you can going up into the uphill braking zones up 6 and 7.
Yeah, definitely. This comes to talk about how these guys set up their downforce settings on their cars. Now, you have a track with 2 very fast DRS zones, the straight line going to the finish line, and then the back straight between 3 and 4. So, I mean, some guys, and I've seen that in D4, I've seen that in other divisions, some guys will prefer to have more stability or higher downforce, so to have a higher sector 2. But where it really counts, where it matters most, is down in the straight, as we're seeing Peter Giordano. There's a long DRS zone there, and a potential ERS deployment there during the race too. A lot of overtaking is going to be done right there, just before the Senna S's in turn 1 and 2. So curious to see if we might see some faster qualifying laps because of higher downforce setups, where you seem to gain a lot in sector 2 because of that more technical area. But race-wise, I think lower downforce really helps out, especially when you're defending against somebody with DRS behind you, and you could defend with lower downforce, for example, or catching up to someone, or keeping into the DRS train. So there's a lot of different opportunities there, depending on how you set up your car. So curious to see how these different drivers really went about it on their setups.
Yeah, I know there was a lot of talk too about getting as low as you can, right? Because if the qualifying position matters, only if you get overtaken between turns 3 and 4, which is an enormous possibility, or even on the backstretch, right? That high downforce really doesn't do you any good. While we were chatting, Diego went and set provisional P2 with a 1080, so they're already in the 1080s, and the track hasn't evolved too much. I think in Q2, Q3, we should certainly see some in the 107s if the weather doesn't turn.
I think the key point you just mentioned there is if the weather doesn't turn. Indeed, we don't have a weather report just yet. I'm gonna go look into that and see if we can get some information. But definitely, if the sun comes out and track temperature increases, we're gonna be looking at. I would not be surprised to see these guys go into the mid 107s at that point.
Yeah, I'm on with Hudson Poole right now, who seems to be the last guy available to put a time on the board. And I think this was really strategic by him, right? This isn't like short quality where Brazil can be a track where you just set your 3-4 once, and he actually bails out. So maybe he didn't warm up his tires right. He just wasn't happy with setup for that lap. But Hudson goes back to the garage. The point I was making is you need to make that first soft tire run matter, right? So he's trying to go out when the track is as rubbered in as he could possibly get, right? And that way he doesn't have to use 2 tire sets to ensure that he gets the next round.
Yeah, definitely. And time is the essence in the situation. Maybe, you could have allow yourself maybe a mistake or two in Q1. I think Hudson Poole I think we all know his capabilities. I mean, he's not the leader in the driver standings for no reason. So he's the kind of guy who's probably just going to wait till the end of Q1 and pull out an absolutely rapid lap. And I think he was just out there getting feel for the track. Maybe they're waiting for the sun to come out. That could come out in the next couple minutes. I have been told by the Hudson Hornet himself that it's completely dry as in regards to weather reports. So as for qualifying and for the race, we should have completely dry weather. So my guess is sun's gonna come out in a bit, and track temperature is gonna go up, and we're gonna see higher track times. Maybe a guy like Hudson Poole is just waiting for the right opportunity to just jump out there and try to go for a pole position.
Yeah, we got 5 minutes left in this qualifying session here. A lot of guys have already pitted with their times that they think are secure. John, I want to call another audible here, and I want to bring in Peter Giordano, who's kind of sitting patiently here. Peter, welcome to the stream. I wanted to bring you in. Qualiban, we just did a coin toss for Thermo and for Duncan. You wanted to start P20. Why is that?
Mostly because this season there's been a history of turn 1 chaos, so I just wanted to completely avoid it. Yeah, at the end of the day, I don't think there's that much of a difference between P18 and P20 anyways.
No, I don't think there is, and I think part of you, Peter, wants to get something like a P20 to a P1 or P20 to a podium. That'd be really
Yeah,
cool.
who doesn't?
Right? Exactly. Yeah. So I wanted to ask you, do you have any insight on the we got a little bit, right? That it was dry as we're on with Gator as he spins out too, trying to
Yeah,
see
I
something
just saw
faster.
that.
We had a couple guys start on intermediate tires. What could have the logic been on that side?
I don't know. I know Combined did it last night during the D2 stream too, so yeah, maybe they know something we don't. Not sure.
I don't know. Yeah, you're laughing about it. I don't know if there's some glitch or something that makes you faster with the inters, but I am not privy to it at all. So curious how that's working for Red Potato right now in P16. He's the odd man out, and Hudson has still not gone out.
Yeah, so I've actually just seen in the D1 general chat that Hudson's wheel isn't working and he can't downshift. Oh, never mind. Duncan just said that he fixed it. All right, all good.
Almost a problem there.
I guess that was the problem.
Yeah.
Also, another problem, Thermo or Luke Locklear forgot to load his setup.
No way.
Yeah.
And with Parc Ferme, he'll be stuck with default.
Yeah.
So he'll only be able to make changes to what? The on-throttle diff, the front wing, and tire pressures.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I think that's it.
Yeah, and brake balance. So that's gonna be quite a challenge for him. I do believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think in F122, the quote-unquote default setup isn't just a general default setup no matter what track you're on. I think they set up very basic setups as well, nonetheless. It's gonna be interesting to see how he handles that, and especially being starting at P19 on his end. So I'm curious to see how he's gonna handle that. I want to ask you a question, Peter, because you are back-to-back Division 1 champion, and doing my homework earlier, I'm looking at the standings, and I'm seeing you sitting P8. Bahrain, you start your season with 3 points, and then you go on for 9 points, 11 points, and 22 points. So, are you being like fine wine? Do you think you're gonna hit your podium finally tonight and just get on a roll and start getting a lot more points than what you're used to?
Yeah. Those first 3 races of the season for me were just absolutely abysmal. Really, Bahrain was completely my fault. I'll say that. That was just me having a stinker of a race. But the other 2, I just got in a ton of unfortunate incidents. So I don't know. I don't think my current standing is representative of my pace. But I'm hoping for better results going forward for the rest of the season for sure.
Yeah, I agree with you, Peter. I was talking on the intro that I think kind of your position in the standings doesn't reflect your pace and strength in the league. So I'm looking for the Ferrari guys to potentially close the gap to the Red Bulls and the Alpines. So what's your strategy kind of with Ian on the back? You saw Hudson Poole put a 107.7. Only good for P2 right now as a McLaren reserve Red Potato had put it on provisional P1. So they both look to be pretty set here to get into Q2. Major Castleman actually in the Alpine, the driver at risk. So sorry, Peter, what I was getting at, strategy with Ian, is there anything you guys talk about? I mean, you might not be on track together at all. How does your starting position affect Ian's strategy?
Well, we're gonna split the strategy. We're gonna have one of us go hard medium and the other go medium hard. Just to try to cover off as many things as we can.
Right.
Me and Ian, I don't want to like get super in depth, but we've worked some things out, some things that we might be able to try during the race on Ian's end, mostly to help me out, that are a bit risky, but there might be some scenarios where we could do something to get me in a little bit better of a position. Well, that's of course assuming Ian starts high up, which, knock on wood, I hope he does.
Right.
Well, so far Q1 is ending, and we're seeing Ian sitting P5. So unless a lot of drivers end up really pushing him down, which I really highly doubt it happens, he should be going on to Q2.
Yeah, I'm on with Major Castleman right now, who's certainly on the bubble. He's improved maybe a 10th so far on his lap time, too. From what I can see, he's coming across the final straight. We'll see if he can improve. He puts a 108.2. He's good by 5/10. He's plenty good. He'll find himself in P8, and that puts Jack Pemberton and Big Mama Frank now on the bubble. See where they are.
Jack Pemberton essentially is out. I'm seeing the checkered flag next to his name, so I think he's done with his lap. So he is gonna start either P16 or P17, depending on Big Mama Frank's lap right now, which I'm keeping eyes on.
Yeah, that's huge too, because BMF, AlphaTauri is chasing Alfa Romeo McLaren, and now if he can improve to P15, he'll push an Alfa and a McLaren out. But I spoke too soon. Gator goes in and puts in a P7 and a 108.1, so he's no longer in danger. Big Mama Frank puts in P13, 108.4, so actually he'll effectively knock out his teammate now. Ethan Patel pushed to P16, and he will join Jack Pemberton on the sidelines as we wrap up Q1.
Yeah, Ethan Patel, who set up a quick lap earlier in the session, but essentially never was able to improve. And as the track got settled in and the temps, everybody started putting rubber down on the track, his time just dropped down, and here we see him in P16.
Yeah. Peter, can you stay with us for a little longer, or you got to go strategize with Ian as he does his Q2? What's your call?
No, I'm not doing anything. little bored, so why not? I'll stick around.
So the strategy, of course, for full quali is different, right? Because traditionally what it's been so far in F1 22 is you try to fit in as many fresh soft tire runs as you can in a short quali session, right? And that's just it, right? You don't necessarily have to wait for track evolution unless you're trying to save some sets, because you can get the runs in, right? But for full quali, I mean, if you're on the bubble, Peter, are you using 2 sets of softs to try to get in? Are you using more?
It depends. It depends on who you are. It depends on a couple things. If you're on the bubble, normally, I would go to probably a new set, unless it's a track with really low tire deg, and I'm certain that I can make it through on a used set.
This is not one of those.
Right. Yeah. Here, you would definitely go out on a new set, which is unfortunate, obviously, because you want to use as few sets as possible before getting to Q3, so you can have the most amount of opportunities to go for pole.
Right. Now, John, did you race are you racing again in D2 or D3? Did you get behind the wheel this weekend?
I did not. Was not available, so I've not raced at all this season. Due to unfortunate circumstances, but I'm back officially, and next week in Belgium, you will see me in D2. I'm just getting back into the hang of things. I'm a little bit late since the game just came out like a month ago, and that's where I missed some time and wasn't able to play. So getting back into getting used to the physics and the timings and everything. And,
right.
I've started as early as last night practicing for Belgium for next week. So
nice, good, yeah. Trying to get ahead.
Hoping to be able to get out there and do what I do best, and which is do just okay.
Yeah, I know that Brazil is kind of like a fan favorite around the league. I feel like a lot of guys like it. Like Peter, what are your? I really like driving the track, although unfortunately I had essentially no pace on Friday on D4. Have you guys fared in Brazil as we see the first guys start to get out? I think Nathan Doan will be the first to set a lap. What do you guys think of Brazil? How do you like driving it? And kind of what's your pace?
Brazil is my favorite track, and it's probably one of my best tracks. But in the league, I've not had a good history with it. I think every race we've done at Brazil, I've been on for at least a podium or a win, and then I've managed to mess it up either on my own or just get unfortunately taken out. So I'm hoping to break that streak today. It's a little harder to get taken out when you're starting at the back. So hopefully that might be an advantage, especially with the fact that it's not super difficult to overtake around here. So yeah, and I know Ian likes the track as well too. So should be
So
good.
there's the intel. Looking like a good night for Ferrari. We'll see.
Most hopefully. What I'm looking at, Peter, and it's a bit unfortunate, but your quali ban serves on a race that we're going full quali. So now, I mean, you're one of the lucky three who, the lucky one of the three that get to stand and sit here with us and broadcast and have a chat with us. But how do you keep focused through that whole time? Are you watching Ian? Are you focusing on him? Are you helping out with strategies? I mean, essentially, you know, Ian, as I know him, he's a guy that's very focused and kind of is in bubble, especially during quali. So how do you keep focused? How do you prep for the race? Are you going to be ready for the race when it starts, having been sitting here? Because Q2 is another 15 minutes, we're going down, and Q1 is another 12 minutes. So essentially, you're sitting out 45 minutes just waiting for your turn.
Yeah, I don't think I really need to prepare too much. I think the last couple of races I've been trying maybe a little too hard, and that's kind of been the downfall because I'm not having fun with it. I think I do better when I'm having fun. So I think just like relaxing, taking my mind off things before the race could be good for me, and hopefully it'll put me in a nice calm mindset before the race starts.
Yeah, early laps are in here in Q2. Aaron Altmaier right now currently in P1 with a 108.1. We were on with Nathan Doan. I think he had some time lap. He said a 108.6, but I saw a couple wobbles, John, where I think he can make up some time. So I'm looking for something better out of Nathan Doan. Major Castman right now with a 108.7 now. I wasn't on board with his lap, but he was almost kind of on the bubble in Q1 too, so he may have to be careful here. Pleasantly surprised to see BMF here in Q2, though. He's had a really nice time at the end of the session. He's been having a tough season. It's good to see him up here right now.
Most definitely, and I'm hoping it gives him confidence and he just memorized it exactly what he did in his last lap in Q1, so he could recreate it in Q2 and get a similar time. That would hopefully put him up in a better position. Now, for drivers are definitely going to be feeling the pressure here. I mean, you know there are some the potential top 3, top 5 drivers who are usually up there, and you know we know a guy like Hudson Poole is going to be up there. Wouldn't surprise to see Ian in the top 5. Red Potato surprised everybody here, so he's a bit of a variable here, but he actually had a better time than Hudson Poole, so I'm curious to see if he's going to do that again for Q2, but that doesn't actually leave a lot of space for other drivers to actually make it to Q3. And we're essentially going to be seeing everybody from P11 down to P15 get eliminated at the end of the session. So it's a lot of, you know, gotta make the most of your time. We're seeing Orel Era and the Mercedes put a 125.6, so probably abandoned his lap midway, and that's precious time and a precious lap that you kind of wish you really maximized in this situation. So
yeah, he might go out for another. He's got to go out for another, right? As Ian Krieger just put in P2, so he's a 108.3, and actually he was behind a Haas for a little bit. I think that was a Haas of Nathan Doan on his in lap. It doesn't look like he really got impeded, but I wouldn't be surprised if Ian goes back out and finds a bit of time. But he's in a really, really crisp lap out there. He's currently sitting in P2.
Definitely. I spoke about Aaron as I was speaking about him, pulled a 108.6. Looking at high 108s and 109s, I mean, Seb most probably is going to be dropping, tumbling down the order there with 109. So those guys definitely got to go back out there and try to pull a way better lap.
Peter, do you think this is a track where, and we've seen a little bit of it kind of in a season, but it hasn't been too widespread, where some guys may be doing 2 out laps to try to get the tires up to like that 90-degree range, right? Because I mean, unless you're really pushing it, it's kind of hard to get up to like 85 degrees in 1 lap, unless you all are having a little bit more luck than I am. Like I'm wondering kind of if Dago is doing that right now, right? So this is his 3rd lap right now on these sets, but he wasn't pushing that time around it. Anything on the 2-lap strat to warm up the tires?
I haven't had to do any quality practice, but if I had to guess, I'd say it's probably not the way to go, just because of the tire deg that you experience on this track, especially
Right.
with the softs. The softs, they really drop off super quickly ever since the new patch came in. So I think 2 laps would do more harm than good. And even then, I think if you do 1 lap and maybe you do start the tires a little cold, I think by the end of your lap they'll be in maybe like a perfect sort of range. Yeah, I think it's probably better to start the tires a little bit cold than in the perfect temperature window.
Right. Well, I think Dago is trying something different. So he's on the 3rd lap now. He just set a purple sector 2. He's going to come across turns 15, 16, and 17 here on the backstretch and try to set his first legitimate time of the night. And it's P1, a 107.6, 5/10 ahead of his teammate Aaron Altmaier in P2.
The Aston Martin boys are putting in great work so far. I don't want to speak too soon. There's still a couple drivers that have not put in some laps, and we know they're fast too. So that could move things around. But a 107.6, as I was predicting earlier, I think the further we're going to go into the qualies, the quicker they're going to get. And mid 107s, I think, is going to be good. I'm actually wondering if we're not going to see a low 107. Highly doubt we'd see a 106, but I mean, I've been wrong before, and I wouldn't be surprised if I was wrong tonight.
Yeah, we'll see as the track evolves if that's really enabled. As Red Potato goes put a 107.9, very respectable time. He hits at a purple sector 3. Something I noticed there, John Ranger, on P12, that sharp P12, sorry, turn 12, that sharp left-hander leading up to the back straight, which is crucial for your exit speed, right? Because that just kind of determines your entire time along the stretch. He took that in 5th gear. And I've only seen a lot of guys here take it in 3rd, maybe in 4th. So maybe he's carrying a lot more speed through there, and I wonder if that's kind of where he picked up some of his time.
That's possible, and as I was speaking earlier, and that's with my early experience with the new physics of the game. So what I'm saying is probably not pure gold, what I'm gonna say, but a higher downforce is gonna allow you to keep up or carry a lot more speed through turn 12. Which is essentially helps him a lot in qualifying in a qualifying situation. Practicing on my end, with different kind of setups. I mean, as you mentioned, it was pretty much dropping it down to 3rd, and as soon as you hit your apex, you hit 4th and full throttle it out of there. So if he's doing it in 5th, is it really because he's got possibly one of two things? Either he's going there with a lot more speed with a high downforce, or he's got a really low downforce on his rear, and he's using that 5th gear to help control the traction on his rear tires and not spin around. And I think early upshifts with a bunch of drivers here is crucial to the way to drive around these tracks. And as I'm saying this, there's a new P1 leader in qualifying, and that's Hudson Poole with 107.5.
Hudson Poole, yeah, 107.5. That was a banger of a lap. I was on the Big Mama Frank for a little bit, but I think he was on his in lap as he was a little bit slower. Major Castleman as well, up to P6, so he may be secure. I think right now, if you're in the top 5, you think you may be okay, but I mean, you get a lot of guys that can be quick here, setting some laps. Era, Gator, Frank may go out again, Barney, and Colin. And as we're saying that, who just switched? Era, 107.9. 5 drivers now in the 107s, Johnson. Now the pace is really starting to come. These guys are starting to get warmed up.
Yeah, I think most drivers are starting to realize that they need to somehow hit 107, and maybe for some of them it'll be their first time ever even getting that kind of track time throughout their practicing. Sometimes you practice all week and you get 108s, and then you get in that zone once it's like qualifying, and you feel that pressure. You don't want to get eliminated, and you get into you want to get into Q3, and out of nowhere you pull a 107, and that puts you in a great position going through the Q3. So these drivers probably feel really good about themselves so far. Right now we're looking at the Hudson Poole being in P1, and both Aston Martins going P2, P3 so far. Red Potatoes being a reserve driver is showing that he's definitely got some pace. I wouldn't be surprised if he improved on his time. Now the question is, will he go out and improve on his time? I don't know if he's not been out on track. He's still in the pits. Maybe he'll be looking to make a statement lap and show everybody that he's able to get even some more pace out of this tires here.
Yeah, he could. I mean, he's really close to the top, and maybe that's why Hudson kind of found another gear and put himself at 107.5. While we were doing that, Barney Goatmere put in a really respectable 107.995, just under the 108s. Perfect lap for Barney there. He found himself in P6. the Williams D1 duo has been quick, right? It's can they avoid incidents and secure points on a consistent basis? But the pace is there, right? And I'd much rather build on a driver that has pace rather than one that's just getting around towards the end.
Most definitely, and again, something I mentioned earlier. Look at the time difference between. Let's pick P4 and P6. I mean, you know, it's not even. It's less than a tenth.
It is,
Less
yeah.
than a tenth just puts you up to P4. Just at the foot of the podium, essentially. So I mean, these drivers are really pushing the very limits constantly. This is what I absolutely love about Division 1. It's absolutely spectacular for that reason. Ian Krieger, look at him, just puts a 107.9 flat.
Yeah, we knew he had
puts
more
him down
time.
to P4. Yeah, definitely. So it's barely the very little difference. It's that 0.3 second earlier on the throttle coming out of a certain corner that just gives you that little bit more. It's these crazy little details, and I mean, this is why we're here, right? This is why we're racing F1. This is why we're fans of F1, is seeing how these guys are able to find a little bit of track time. And I mean, sometimes you'll be pushing as hard as you can, and you think you're the fastest as you can, and you hit a high 107, and then you have a guy like Hudson Poole coming in and 107.5, and you just gotta ask yourself, just how?
And then he
how
just
does do it?
retires, right? Like he just retires. He's like,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good, right? I don't need to do it.
Yeah.
One guy who's not
And,
retired, of course, is Maxime. He's on the bubble here in P11, and we're riding on with
Mhm.
him. He's got to improve if both Mercs are going to make it to Q3.
Yeah, just a little note here. I just watched Sleek have a little bit of a dance off track here and spun around. So he's essentially cooked his tires. His battery's half full. There's 2 minutes left. He's got a 108.2, so he's sitting there in P8. So he's gonna try desperately to go for another fast lap. Maybe he has one last go around the track to maybe reset his battery. I think that's what he's trying to do, and is charge it all up. But he's definitely doesn't have time to go back into the pits and come out with fresh tires. So I don't know if he's going into the pits and he's gonna call it, or no, he's gonna go around the lap a second time. So try to charge up his battery, and he's probably gonna be the last ones to cross the checkered flag by the end of Q2.
Yeah, that's the call. We'll ride on with him here through the Senna S's, and he'll have lower fuel than usual, so he may be a little bit better suited for pace. And because he's at the end of the session, it doesn't matter if he runs out. He doesn't really have to get back to the pits. So I don't know if he's going to have enough battery, though, John, to last till the end of the lap. We'll see. A lot of guys starting to set times. Nathan Doan is now out of the session, so he's locked into P11 or worse. So that's one less guy that Sleek has to compete with as someone up come ahead. Oh, he got out of the way nicely. That was maybe the Haas of Seb or Nathan Doan. So Maxime, Gator, BMF, and Colin Edwards all looking to get out and improve upon their lap. We're still on with Sleek here as he comes towards the end of Sector 2. Got to carry a lot of speed into this left-hander too, and it's get on full throttle when you dare, right? And he got a little bit too early and he spun out. And so Sleek will not improve on his time. He's at a 108.2. I think he's in danger, John. I don't know if he's going to make it.
Just gotta be careful. He's reversing off on the track there. And okay, I was scared because there's an Alpine coin turn 12 just as he was reversing right across the track. So a little bit dangerous move there, but we all know about that little danger spot out of P12. We've seen drivers spin out. Actually, in D4, we saw a driver spin out in turn 12, and the game caught him for supposedly cutting the track completely.
Yeah.
And disqualified him. So
Yeah,
I think he was
I
trying
got
to
caught
avoid
with
him, keep
that.
his car moving.
Brazil's weird with those limits, man. I mean, like, I got caught with that in Div E, is I had a little spinilla around turn 4 and 5, and went to go reorient myself, and it disqualified me for going backwards. But Brazil has been known to have those sort of weird track limit as some guys are starting to set their last
Oh yeah.
times of the session. Barney and Colin both get across, so they're P8 and P9 respectively. Nathan Doan retired. He'll find himself in P15. Seb is done. He's in P14. He's out. Big Mama Frank and Sleek also out as well. Major Castleman does have a shot to improve, but I think he just bailed on his
battery
lap,
left.
John. I think he's done.
Yeah, I think he's done. Big Mama Frank was trying to pull a last minute heroics once again, and he almost did it. I mean, look at the time between him and Gator. All he had to do was grab a 10th. I say all he needed to do as if that was very easy. Definitely not if you're pushing as much
Yeah.
as you can, but here he goes, P11, so just gets eliminated. So Big Mama Frank, Sleek, Major Castleman, and both Haas with Seb and Nathan Doan are done.
So I think that's all she wrote for Q2. So currently on P1, Hudson Pool, Dago, Maxime Beaulieu, Aaron Altmaier, Aaron Krieger, Red Potato, Era, Barney, Colin, and Gator sneaks through to Q3 in P10. So once these guys all get retired, we will get going shortly.
I'm wondering if Q3 we're going to see the sun peak out a little bit because we're still in overcast situations. So looking at the time 107.5 being the fastest time, Q3 could potentially see the lap times get even quicker if the sun comes out and track temperature increases.
I was thinking about that. Possibly get a 106s even? I mean, that would be 5/10 on Hudson's time. I think that's probably a tall task.
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, whenever we say Hudson Pool can't cross a certain limit or he can't do much better, he finds a way.
He does.
So
he does.
I mean, there's a reason why he's got a whole intro video dedicated almost to him before the broadcast. So I mean, I would not be surprised to see him pull a 106. And
yeah, that was cool.
Want to get that 106 just for fun. So that's probably why he's so fast. He just puts himself these objectives, and that's what keeps him going. Because P1, he's not satisfied with P1. I'm sure he's gonna want P1, but he'll want to be the only driver to pull a 106 and just flex on all these other drivers.
Yeah, he's built different, and dude, yeah, the hype video. So for those of you that missed kind of the early part of the broadcast, Azirel first, a newcomer to the league, Dublin man, flashing his video editing skills and put together an outstanding hype video for probably the best driver here at ZRL, and it was outstanding. It really got me pumped for today, and I don't know. I wonder if Hudson saw it, and I wonder if he's pumped as well.
I'm hoping he did, but that was definitely a treat to start a broadcast. Let me tell you that.
Yeah, it was cool. So Hudson did look like he was trying to get out early here.
Oh, Q3, you only have 12 minutes, so usually drivers tend to not fool around. They want to get out there as fast as possible, get their banger in, and I think we have just enough time for two laps would be the best case scenario in this situation.
Probably.
Correct me if I'm wrong, they have 4 sets of soft tires, so they've used one in Q1, one in Q2, and now, or potentially if some of the other drivers have used more than one, then they only have one shot here.
Yeah, and the other reason to keep a set of softs too is if you think that there could be a late stage safety car, or if you're planning some sort of 2-stop where you're going to need that set. But I mean, for these guys, the difference in a position from P1 to P10, that may be worth the call, right? Because worst comes to worst, you start on a slightly scrubbed set of softs, but that track position early on could be crucial for your entire race strategy.
Most definitely, and I mean, despite this being Division 1 and everybody fighting for the small little tenths and hundredths of times in qualies, once a race starts, I mean, those Senna S's, so far, with the number of Brazilian Grand Prix we've had in ZRL, and with these guys as well, I mean, I would not be surprised to see incidents right off the beginning, potentially even a safety car. Surprisingly, Division 4 did not have a safety car. There was a contact and a spin-off right off in the early.
Yep.
But, I mean, you want to be out there in front as much as possible, or almost the back. I mean, and for this track, for me personally, I don't know, being in the middle and being caught in the SNSs usually results in potentially an plate of front ring, and
yeah, you just don't know it.
Very
and
tight.
It's very tight, and especially the way the tire wear is. You know, maybe in last year's game, if you nicked your front wing in the first lap, you could think about pitting for a set of hards and just trying to go through the entire race. There is no way that's possible in F122. So if you get damage on lap 1 and you can't drive with it, you're doing a 2-stop, and you have to change your entire outlook on the race. As Hudson's going to set the first time of the session, he gets a 107.3.
107.3.
Wow. So, John, does the track evolution carry from session to session, right? Because he just put in a 107.5 last session. Now, we were 3 for 3 now with guys in the 107s. I wonder if this track now is even more rubbered in, and in the new game, it's taking that into consideration.
Like, I'm honestly hope I don't know truly the answer to that, and I'm really hoping it is the reason why we're seeing already 3 drivers going in the 107s, and because I mean, otherwise, what would that mean? Would that mean that Hudson Poole was just taking it easy during Q1 and Q2 and casually getting 107.6s and 107.7s? I mean, he just reduced his time by about 4/10, which
Right.
is
Like it was nothing.
humongous on a track that usually the lap time. Look at their lap times. It's usually we know high 107s, low 108s, and a lot of time to gain on such a short track.
Yeah, we currently got a row 2 lockout. Maxime and Arab in the Mercs. Oh, not anymore. Red
As you say
Potato
that.
puts it on P2, splits the Mercs, right? So now they'll find themselves on row 2 and row 3. Aaron Altmaier inserted himself into P3. Good showing for the Aston Martin driver. Let's get on with Dago right now. He must have abandoned his lap. Now, so remember, he went on the double lap tire warm-up last session. So if he goes out, because this is not his out lap, so if he stays out here, he's doing it again, and we'll see if it pays off twice in a row.
Yeah, it looks like he ran into the back of what I believe is Gator.
Oh,
Red
did
Potato.
he?
He's going in the pits, so he's gonna switch for tires. Because when we logged into him in the middle of sector 2, he had 50%, and he backed off. So maybe he got impeded a little bit during this quali lap.
Yeah, I'm on with Gator right now, who may be on an in lap. He is a little bit depleted of power. He's currently sitting in P8, a 108.5, which it's ridiculous to say that that's the slowest time of the session so far, a 108.5, but that's where we are in D1. We've got, 6 of the 8 guys that have set times are all in the 107s.
Absolutely, we're seeing everybody diving to the pits now. So I think what I'm noticing was the Ferrari. Was that of Ian Krieger who's
think so.
coming out first? That definitely is him. Try to take advantage of the little bit of the clear track in front of him to set the fastest time. I'm expecting Dago to get back out there pretty soon as well.
Yeah, Ian will have a really, like I said, a really open, clean track to warm up his tires and try to position himself as favorably as possible for the next heater.
And we've got so far Dago and Colin Edwards. We've not set a lap time, so haven't really spoken much about Colin Edwards so far in this quali session. So I don't know if he's even gone out yet in Q3. Has he?
I'm not sure. Is he? No, he's not out. Is that Barney that's going out again? Barney is going out for his second stint.
Yeah.
But how about both Williams drivers in Q3? They're looking great so far. Like I was saying before, they've always had the pace, right? And if they can keep it clean and make it happen on track, this could be a huge points finish for Williams.
Yeah, Williams, and to begin with, to be in Q3 is absolutely huge for them, and that's gonna give them a lot of confidence starting this race. So just as you say, the key thing for them, just as we've discussed earlier, is gonna be keeping it clean, not taking damage, just doing what they got to do. Having a good race start is gonna be key. Well, key for Williams, it'll be key for absolutely everybody, because I said that earlier. The Senna S's in turn 1, turn 2. You don't want to be stuck in traffic in there, or you want to make sure you be as far away from traffic as everyone. So race starts are going to be really important for Brazil.
Yeah, Barney looks like he lost a little bit of wheel spin there coming out of turn 2 or 3. So he may have lost some time there going into this front straight. Something I noticed too. I'm used to seeing Barney and Colin. They reserve a lot. They are in a lot of races. John, they're actually reserves. The Williams D1 guys, Eric Perez and Tom Hatcap, are both out this week.
That is true.
And so these aren't even standard D1 drivers, right? And they're both in Q3. So Garrett has to be extremely happy with how these guys are performing right now. This looks great for them.
And you know what? That makes these reserve drivers are just making their name out for themselves in Division 1 already. And as I mentioned earlier in the broadcast, one of the reasons why Williams is sitting right at the bottom of the standings in P10 for the constructors at 43 points is because their drivers who are supposed to be driving for them, they're not really there. So
right
now we got Barney, we got Colin, and Barney, unfortunately, I don't think he actually improved his time a little bit, so he's sitting there in P6 with 107.8.
He did. Yeah, he got 3
little faster
tenths.
than Ian.
A little faster than
Definitely.
Ian. Yeah, great lap.
Exactly.
Era is the next one on track that will set a time, and I think No, that's Barney going in for his in lap. I'm looking at the track map and I see a Williams. And but I guess Colin Edwards is going to play the track evolution game because he still hasn't gone out, nor has Dago. We'll see Era come around turns 15, 14 and 15 rather.
He's coming out of the pits right now. He's in the pit exit, so these William guys are going for it. Barney's up there in P6 for now, and Dago, we know he's got some pace, so I think he's, like you mentioned, he's playing the track evolution game as well as Collins, and they're going to go for it.
Yeah, Era improved a little bit. Era improved a little bit. He'll still find himself in P4, just less than a tenth. Colin is hot on the back of... Who is that? Who's that Merc there? That's Maxime. So they're both going to do heaters. So Colin has to be careful. So he's going to do one of two things. He's either going to try to get the toe, or he needs to give him enough room to manage. And he's got to be going for the toe, actually. Johnny's right there. Maybe they planned that.
Definitely looking to get a distant toe, because if something happens with Maxime and he's got to slow down or something, and if you end up right in the back of him through sector 2 with dirty air, it's not really the thing you want to have. So as you can see already, he's not
really in tow range anymore, huh?
Yeah, he's not in tow range, and his throttle he's definitely not throttling it. So Colin is slowing down, so I think he's giving himself some time. He's doing a two lap.
He's got to be.
Get out there.
Yeah, he's got to be.
So that means Colin, essentially, he's gonna have one chance and one chance only.
Yeah. Let's hop in with Red Potato, who has set some blistering times so far in this entire session. He beat Hudson in Q1. He finished P2 to Hudson in Q2. He's currently a tenth and a half behind Hudson for P1 pole position. And now I think this is an inaugural ZRL race. I don't know if I've seen Red Potato around anymore, but reserve guy coming into D1, challenging our resident esports driver for pole position.
Yeah, I mean, when you have a guy like Hudson Pole in your league, you're gonna attract other guys just like him in this league. I mean, I don't want to compare too quickly, as Red Potato had a little bit of a slip there coming out of turn 12, so don't know if he's gonna improve his time by much. If he does, as I was watching him, he came out and had a bit of a slide. Look at it, what
3/10. Wow.
He slid and still had that. I'm pretty sure if he hadn't had a little bit of a moment just pushing it to the max, he might have been our first driver in 106.
Wow.
I was just about to say, I'm not going to call him an esports driver just yet because he just got here, but look at that time.
That was incredible. That was incredible. Gator just put it at 108.5, or unless this is his heater. I'm not sure. So Era was retired, so the best that Era will do is P4. Let's hop in with Hudson here on his outlap, who's about ready to start his heater. Right? Got it just the opposite of coming in.
Just a quick update here on Colin Edwards. He pulled the 116, didn't have a fast lap. And he's in the wall out of turn 2 into Center S's. So I think that's going to be the end for him.
Yeah, so he'll find himself starting P10 unless Dago, for some reason, doesn't have a competitive time, which I don't know if that's going to be the case. Hudson is 600ths improved on his time through turn 4. So let's see if he can carry a little bit of momentum, but he's got a good just under 2/10 that he's got to make up to steal pole position back from Red Potato.
Yeah, and he wants it. He definitely wants it. He doesn't like a challenger taking his time, so he's going to go for it full throttle. We've got Dago here finishing up this lap and coming up to the start-finish line here, so we're going to see what the time he's getting. Looks like an early 107, 107.4. That puts him in P3 just ahead of his teammate.
Hudson had a little bit of a moment coming out of turn 12, a little bit similar to Red Potato, but we'll see if he had the time in the bank to do it. He took turn 12 in third gear, so a little bit of a different driving style and setup there. Hudson puts a 107.2. He improves, but not enough.
So essentially, your pole position is going to Red Potato, a McLaren reserve driver.
Wow. Adam's happy about that right now. What a Q3, the newcomer.
We're being asked, who is this Red Potato guy? If only we knew.
If only we knew. I'll tell you what he is. He's pole sitter in his first race, what we think is his first race, here in ZRL. Red Potato, Hudson Pool, Dago, Aaron Altmaier, Barney Goatmere, Ian Krieger, Era, Maxime, Gator, and Colin Edwards will round out your top 10 for Week 5 in Season 5 in D1. Man, we saw some quick times. He may have had the 106, John. Red Potato. He may have had it.
I believe he had it. I think he lost it coming out of turn 12 with a little bit of slide. It would have been a 106.9 for sure, but I think he had it. And that's a scary thought.
Yeah. So as we start to get, everyone's going to line up here for the formation lap, of course, in broadcast mode, right, to eliminate hopefully the opportunity for any desync. So we'll get the formation lap going in broadcast, and look, you're going to have guys now that have been sitting out either because they have a ban or they got eliminated Q3 or Q2, right? So they've kind of a little bit cold, right? And now they have to come in without a real formation lap and go right to it. So John, would you find that kind of challenging? Like, is it better to be fresh, or is the break good so you can kind of reset and take a breather before the actual race?
Well, the only thing that's maybe a little bit disappointing is this game boasted about the whole immersive formation lab, being able to position your car at a certain angle and at a certain, it's a game of inches in this division, obviously. So some guys would be a little like right on their grid slots or a little bit over and whatnot. So those tiny little things that have made differences. Now we're in a formation lab that's all being automated, so they're all going to be sitting in exactly the same position. Maybe we would have seen a guy like Hudson Pool angle his car a little bit to make sure to cut off Red Potato as quick as possible if he had a better start than him. But they're both starting exactly in the straightest of lines. So
you're right. That's
see when they will fix it, how these drivers are going to implement that strategy into their starts.
Yeah, that's actually such a shame because this is a perfect example of where that can actually matter here, right? Not only that, we have a difference in tire strategy too.
Yeah.
So Red Potato on the mediums, Hudson on the hards. And really, I think this decision comes to, one, are you alternating with your teammate? Like we know Ferrari is, of course. And two, do you think there's going to be an early safety car, right? Because if you do, you don't want to start on the hards and then have to make it either 27 laps, 28 laps on a set of mediums, or have to two-stop, right, if you weren't planning for that. I think I also saw BMF is starting on softs.
He definitely is starting on soft. And just before the race starts, I believe Hudson wanted to start on the hards, and despite having his pole position taken from him from Red Potato, he's not letting that intimidate him. He doesn't need the medium tires to have a great start. He's going to go run with a strategy nonetheless.
So it's where the qualifying times almost got reversed. We see Peter actually in P18, Duncan in P20. So they kind of got switched. I'm not sure how that was working. 5 lights out, and away we go. A couple drive-through penalties here.
Was that both Aston Martins?
I don't know. It looks like both Aston Martins. I don't know if we're going to have some sort of desync or a new lobby or what. So we'll see. But Hudson has taken the lead from Red Potato. Let's up on with Red Potato. Currently now in P3. He's lost 2 spots. Now he's in P4. I wonder if he has any damage. Dago's taken P2. Barney Goatmere up 2 spots already, and he's currently in P4 himself.
That's going to absolutely be a crushing for both Aston Martins, and I got to figure out when to take those drive-through penalties. Oh, we've seen... Who was that? Was that Sleek completely off the track?
Sleek has had some trouble with incidents. Yeah, it does. And Thermo almost crashed in the back of Jay Pemberton, and then he gets spun around. Thermo, in the midst of his recovery, was already up to P14. Now he finds himself in P20. He's ghosted through a little bit, took advantage of that, and he spins out again. Thermo can't get it on the hot tires. John, both Alpines now are bringing up the back of the pack.
This is a worst-case scenario, and I'm wondering if they have any damage. I'm not seeing much damage right now. I'm trying to see if maybe an end plate damage, but...
And Red Potato,
oh, no.
He's tumbling down the order. He's in P19 now. And so Hudson Pool now with a healthy lead. Barney Goatmere in P2, a big winner from the start. Big Mama Frank on the soft tires, up 5 spots. He's in P6. The chaos.
We've got Jack Pemberton in P8 and Duncan. Duncan went from P20. And he's there in P11, already both gained 9 positions.
9 positions gained. Yeah, I think while we're talking to, Era may have had a moment. He finds himself down 9 spots in P16, as we already have some early battles here kind of shaking up. DRS is going to be activated next lap. People will try to be birding their ERS to stay within that 1 second range. I'm looking at Ian trying to stay within Barney, but Hudson has already built a 1.8 second gap, rather 1.7, 1.8 second gap to Barney in P2. So Barney's going to be playing some defense. It's really nice to see him high up there with the front runners.
That is best case scenario for the Williams drivers, so they must be absolutely happy with that so far. It is the beginning of the race. The orders completely switched around. Guys with penalties event actually gained mostly, looking at Duncan and even Peter gaining 5 positions already. Now DRS just being activated from starting the 3rd lap. But absolute tragedy for the Aston Martin boys. See how they will be able to catch up to that. And speaking of tragedy, unfortunately for Red Potato, he's going to have the recovery drive to do there. Do you think the nerves got to him at this point? He's coming into a league, probably his first race, starting in pole position in Division 1. A lot of eyes are on him, and out there, and qualifying and racing is 2 different things, and Hudson Poole got the better of him.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, that totally could have been it, right? But then, part of you thinks that a driver kind of that, if he's putting in 107, low 107s in qualifying, he kind of knows what he's doing. So I'm not sure. Jack Pemberton went into the pits too. I wonder if he got damage. He may have changed the front wing. He currently finds himself in P20. He'll be slotted in behind Thermos in P19. So nightmare starts for Alpine and Aston Martin. Can Merc and Red Bull take advantage? Well, Duncan is up 11 spots, currently in P9. Big Mama Frank loses it in turn 12. He was up great. Had currently been starting P11.
Oh, he's tumbling down. He's going to be P14 in just a second here, yeah.
Yeah, that was tough, and he was trying to gain as many spots as he could on those soft tires. He'll be 2-stopping today, and he pulls in right now, and I guess his tires are cooked. He's going to start a strategy now.
Yeah, the soft tires worked out for him, but that's the thing with a race situation with F122. Soft tires are great, but for really not long. So as we're seeing in real life as well, then rarely we see any drivers go out with soft tires and pull long-term strategies. Looking at Jack Pemberton in P20, let's not forget Thermo out there in P19. He's driving on the basic setup. He forgot
That's
to
right.
use the setup during the quali, so we're probably, unfortunately, he's just so used to driving a certain way with his setup. Now he's got to adjust to his car as well. It may not be the last spin we see of him.
Yeah, it may not be. I mean, if there's anyone that can adjust to that on the fly, it's someone like Thermo. I'm on with Gator right now, who's at the tail end of the first DRS train that we have, behind Maxime, Barney, and Ian Krieger. Ian will try to extend that gap to a second to try to leave Barney in the dust. But then we have this secondary DRS train here, led by Colin Edwards. Hot on his back is Duncan McCamick. Let's take a look at the tire choices here, too. So Colin's on hard tires, right? So, which makes sense that he's kind of holding up the second DRS train there, right? So, some guys that have been able to keep pace, though, Seb and Peter Giordano are able to kind of keep pace in that DRS train with the hard tires. So, their strategy looks pretty good right now if they can stay where they are.
Most definitely. And while we were opening up the... oh, what am I seeing? Am I seeing a Merc who's completely spun off? That looks like...
Is that Era?
Well, Era. That's Era that's just dropped down to P17. So, a lot of drivers spinning out. I don't know if... what's causing them to spin out. A lot of them seems to be spinning out on their own. Jack Pemberton, once again, P12 catches them off guard again. He's not having the race that he wants tonight, unfortunately. So that's definitely gotta stomp a little bit on your pride there and try to get better positions. Maybe he's coming off the softs now.
Yeah, he's coming off the softs. So yeah, Jack's strategy is just certainly in shambles from what he wanted. Though meanwhile, his teammate Sleek is doing okay right now in P11. He already had an incident himself, remember, right? So he finds himself in P11, and it looks like he's going to make a move on the Haas of Seb for P10. He's going to dive down the inside into the Senna S's. He keeps the inside line nice and clean, nice and tidy. Seb giving him plenty of room, and Seb keeps the position. Great defense from the Haas as Sleek almost loses a little bit of grip there into turn 3, but he'll have DRS going into this straight. Seb will too, and that's probably saving his butt right now, is that he's within DRS range of Peter Giordano, and he'll stay in P10.
we had a long discussion with Pietro Giordano so far about going from P20 to P1, and we're here in lap 6. Duncan McCamick has gained 14 positions. He's sitting in P6. I think he was bit by the Hudson Hornet. He's completely wild out there on the track. He's gaining a lot, and he is leading the DRS train. Now he wants to catch up to Gator. He's got 4 seconds to catch up on there, and he's got incredible pace out there right now.
He does have incredible pace. I think he's kind of underrated, right? Because he gets overshadowed by Hudson, of course. You know, our resident esports guy, right? So of course he is. It looks like Sleek had another incident. He's fallen down to P14. Now P15 rather. He keeps on tumbling. So there's definitely something on with Sleek, as he'll be P17 before it's all said and done. But you know, Duncan, they make jokes about Hudson carrying the team, but Duncan has incredible pace too. And he's kind of been mixed up in a couple of incidents in the first 4 races of the season, and he could be a lot higher up than he is right now. So he's currently in P6, and I look for him to kind of run in the top 5 to 7 guys throughout the whole night.
Something about Duncan. I raced last season, or was it maybe 2 seasons ago even, in Monaco, and I had that guy right up my rear the entire race.
Oh, he's great at Monaco.
Defend for my life, and
oh yeah.
I'll tell you, I keep my cool, I keep my calm most of the time, but when you have a Duncan McCamick right behind you, oh boy.
And it looks like I was on with Peter Giordano, who just passed an Alfa Romeo in the wall. It looks like Jack Pemberton went ahead and DNF'd. Really disappointing for him. I know he was kind of looking forward to it, and you never want to go out like that. So 1 DNF so far, 19 runners. Hudson Poole in the lead, got a 4.3 second gap to Ian Krieger, right? So he may be running a little bit more of a lonely race here. But right behind Ian is the first of 2 DRS trains we have going on here, and a lot of battles. Let's hop on with Gator, who's at the tail end of the first train. P3, P4, and P5. Barney, Max, Gator. They're all fighting right now. Oh, sorry, Ian in P2 is leading that DRS train.
Yes.
And Max's light's blinking, though. John, ERS is kind of hard to come by in Brazil. And if you don't manage it effectively, you could be really hurting when you don't have it when it counts.
Yeah, we're seeing Maxime and Gator both sub 30% batteries right now, and Maxime actually about being 20%. Ian and Barney have been managing their battery, especially Barney going here at 70%. So he's just waiting for the opportunity to jump onto Ian, and Ian is not an easy client to overtake either. And as I'm saying that, there's Haas in the back. I think that's the Haas of Nathan Doan is dropping down to P13 just before the turn 12. So coming back to Ian and Barney, I think Barney is gonna play the patient game. The guys behind him, maybe the best scenario is not being in front of that train. He's maybe gonna try to force Ian into using up his ERS for a couple laps, and eventually he's gonna get up on front of that train, because right now Barney's able to defend from Maxime and Gator behind him because he has Ian's DRS.
And he's been able to hold that for about 6 laps now, I think. Even since DRS started, Ian had made P2, and Barney's been able to keep pace with just that little bit of DRS and really strong ERS management. So Barney's looking great, and his teammate Colin Edwards is in P7, and Colin's on the hard tires. So aside from Hudson, Colin Edwards is the top hard tire runner on the grid, followed closely by Peter Giordano in P8. He's leading kind of a hard tire train there, but they've kind of separated. Not a lot of DRS trading going on in the midfield currently.
Yeah, exactly. And we spoke about Duncan McCamick being in P6 earlier. He was about 4.2 seconds off from Gator, and slowly he's kind of falling off the pace because of that DRS train. So then it's all going to come down to strategy there. Is Duncan going to try to go for a long strategy in regards to his medium tires that he's using up there? So gonna have to keep an eye on how he reacts to the front drivers in front of him.
Major Castleman in the Alpine already finds himself back up to P11 behind Daigo, who's had an incredible recovery himself already, right? Daigo with an early drive-through has overcome that to get to P10 already. There's a yellow in Sector 1, and it's the other Alfa Romeo of Sleek. So we're having a hell of a night here. Our boys just can't keep it on track. So Sleek right now making up P19 as he tries to fight to the back of
He's
Thermo.
disconnected. Yeah, I think both Alfa Romeos are done. His car is slow, so I think he may have retired his car. His car is going to drive to a safe spot and get off that racing line eventually.
Yeah, I hope so. I know he's got to wait until Hudson comes out to him, as Hudson's just starting his 10th lap, so he won't be hitting that for a while. We'll make sure that Cardina, and it went off track there.
There you go.
Really tough night for my Alfa Romeo boys today. Not the race that we wanted for sure, but I'm on with Thermo now because, you know, typically we'd see him charging up the field, and I would say he's probably a little bit faster than Major Castleman, right? But I think that setup is really hurting him, John, because he's not making up ground to BMF, and you know he should be up 10 spots by now. He's not.
Most definitely. I think maybe it's very possible that that default setup has way too much downforce for his liking and hurts him a lot coming up to the DRS trains where he just loses out of them.
Yeah.
And what's unfortunate looking at guys like Diego, which with the drive-through penalty, both the Aston Martins got on the second line of the grid being P3, P4. Diego's got a 3-second penalty for cutting the track, so he's trying to make up time, but maybe a little bit too much, and it's costing him time being penalized at 3 seconds, so that's going to have an effect near the end of the race.
Yeah, track limits can be a little tricky here. We've seen 3 drivers already penalized for 3 seconds. I'm on with Gator, who's at the tail end of the first DRS train. And again, his light's blinking. Maxime's light is blinking. They're under 10% battery. Meanwhile, Barney and Ian continue to manage their ERS effectively as they get into kind of the second half, maybe last third of their medium tire stint. I mean, I think you're going for, what, lap maybe 16 to pit off the mediums onto the hards?
Yeah, most definitely. It's usually what you would be aiming for, but I've seen drivers in D4 go much longer on either set, actually. I think we saw Joe Goran go nearly 25 laps on the hards. His hard tires went up to like 75% or something.
Wow.
So
Puncture
some of
territory.
these drivers can potentially rely on either the strategy or maybe they're just in a good position to keep their tires in a good condition, despite this being Brazil and Brazil having could be eating up your tires a little bit with those high-speed corners and technical areas in Sector 2. So most probably we'll see lap 16, but a lot of opportunities for undercutting here. And the first one to dive into the pits, by the way, it's Duncan.
It's Duncan. There it is. You just talked about the undercut, and he's the first one. I was just going to comment that Colin Edwards was doing a great job at keeping up with Duncan on the different tire strategy. He's got some clean air, so he's going to go, and that may make it really tough for Colin to maintain that position. He's no longer got the DRS from Duncan, so Peter Giordano is now hot on his tail. Did a little bit of catch-up on the straights between turns 3 and 4 with the DRS, so the next go-around on the front stretch, he'll have DRS and will really be challenging for P6.
The problem with DRS being so powerful here, Duncan comes out of the pits with nobody in front of him, so he's got to catch up to P15 or earlier in the Merc there, so he's got to do that as quick as possible so he can catch up a little bit on the DRS train. We're seeing Thermo coming out of the pits as well.
Yeah, we got a great battle going on here as we get into Sector 2 between Nathan Don't and Aaron Altmaier. They're trading places going into turns 6, 7, and 8, and now they're about to go into Sector 3. They're side by side. Nathan on the inside. This is where you got to carry a lot of speed right before turn 12. Nathan makes it stick right now, currently in P12. Let's hop on with Aaron, who concedes a position for now, but he'll have DRS and a little bit of DRS. And man, he got a lot better exit, I think, than Nathan. He's got the DRS, and he's going to try to make this stick. He goes along the outside into the center S's. Hard braking zone. Got to keep it tight there on the inside to set up your exit for turn 2 and for turn 3. And he does. Aaron Altmaier, P12.
It's not over yet. We got Nathan's going to be able to catch him on the DRS there, so it's going to be a drag race all the way until the end. And Aaron's completely drained his battery.
Yeah, almost a little bit late of a defensive move, too. I wonder if Nathan's tires are starting
right behind them.
They've let Ethan Patel get back to it. Now it's going to be a three-way battle. Let's hop on with Ethan, who has a front row seat to what's going on right now.
Behind him as well.
Oh, there's a little bit of a bump.
Contact.
Ethan bumps out Nathan Doan. Nathan spins around. Terrible turn of events there. Ethan kind of just sticking his nose in maybe where shouldn't have been stuck. And Aaron Altmaier's the lucky guy. He runs away with P12, and he's clean for now, no longer under pressure.
It was unfortunate for the Haas driver because he was doing an absolutely great battle with
He was.
against Aaron, and I think he was possibly getting the better of it eventually in regards to ERS management. But yeah, Ethan Patel really stuck his nose right where Nathan was closing the door there. So he saw a little bit of opportunity, but that's not a corner you can have a lot of chances to overtake. And he went for it, and that was not the best call. And we have contact and possibly taking it at the end of this race.
Yeah, I mean, I was impressed that before in like turn 8 that Aaron made the pass back on Nathan on the inside and almost made it stick. That was incredible racing, I think, all around. There's another yellow in Sector 2. It looks like, is it the Alpine of Thermo or is it a Williams? It's Colin.
So we saw two guys sliding earlier while we were watching the battle between Nathan and Aaron. Or Aaron, I should say. We saw Peter Giordano actually kind of have a slip up out of the exit of turn 12, near turn 12 of turn 13, should say. So was there maybe a bump or something? And now Colin Edwards was having a very respectable race in the Williams so far. We've had a switch of positions on P4 and P5, and that's because Maxime Beaulieu has gone down into the pits. So is that going to be an undercutting situation?
Could be.
Towards Ian Krieger and Barney?
Could be, yeah. And someone I'm on the lookout for, too, is Red Potato now. He's up now in P4 of the medium tire runners, at least the guys that haven't pit. So an incredible recovery race already. You think he's 10 seconds from a podium spot after he was in P20 at the end of lap 1. So Red Potato's now, he's kind of got his sea legs under him, right? He's running, and he's got his teammate 2 spots behind him. So I'm hoping they're talking on strategy, because as they come up, this is lap 16 now, so they're close to the field. You can't afford to double stack here and lose time. I wonder what strategy, who they're going to favor on strategy here.
I think it's going to be important that Gator gets the call there. I think Red Potato's going to have to take it for the team. Gator's middle of a battle with Ian and Barney, and he's got to cut off that undercut from, who was it, from Maxime Beaulieu that pitted the lap before. So the call's got to go for them. It's going to be way too tight. I'm actually wondering, it might be possible to double stack, but you see Gator is not going in. Barney went in.
There's another big battle going on now between Era and Ethan Patel. So Ethan Patel finds himself in action again. Both Mercs now in 12-13. Era does a little bit of sliding coming out of turn 12. He's on 15-lap-old hard tires, and he's starting to feel it. Ethan Patel now is in P14, but he's got a little bit quicker tires. He gets a better exit, and he has DRS. Oh, but he pulls into the pits last minute. A little bit of gamesmanship there as Ethan Patel begins his pit strategy, but was really fighting for Era for P12.
Yeah, Gator must be really confident with his tire management right now, because it's indeed Red Potato that went into the pits for fresh hards here.
You know, Gator may think too that, look, I'm in DRS range of Ian, right? So if he's still setting green sectors and he's still got a little bit of pace, maybe it was easier for him to maintain the pace on the older medium tires and go in later.
Maybe his call is going to be to go in exactly the same time as Ian, because as we saw with Duncan earlier, and who's now stuck in P13, you go in the pits, and when you come out, if there's nobody in front of you with the DRS, that kind of hurts your lap times a little bit.
It does.
And you know what? As I'm saying that, both drivers are diving into the pits.
They both go in. They both go in, and then once that strategy is completed, we'll have the entire field on hard tires. So let's go through and see if we can find some close battles here. I want to go back to the Mercs of Maxime and Era. Max only 3/10 behind Barney Goatmere. Now, Barney already had his pit strategy completed. Oh, so did Maxime. And he gets a run on Barney. Innocent as he makes that one quick and clean. Maxime in P10 pushes Barney to P11. Really nice.
Got a yellow sector car that just went off. Was that Thermo that went off?
It looks like Thermo.
No, that looks like the
other Alpine. Major Castleman?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's having a hell of a time trying to get back on track, and you have to be careful here. We were talking about those kind of disqualifications as he can't even get around. I'm sure he's got hot tires here, and he's just trying to get back on track cleanly.
Hard, so they're
yeah,
quite old enough to have a lot of difficulty handling the grip, but normally it's not where you want to be pitting in, and there's no way, I don't believe he's going to be able to make lap 19 to lap 36 is about 17 laps on medium, so he might make the call and just split in his strategy in half there.
Yeah, he could.
Maybe hope
And
for a safety car.
yeah, it could be safety car. But then also, the medium tires will wear out a little bit less on lower fuel. So you'd rather try to make them last 17 laps, of course, on your last stint than your first. On with Hudson, who's been running an incredibly lonely race. He's essentially an entire sector ahead, 18 seconds ahead of Dago and P2. Oh, and they're on the same strategy. Hudson right now really flexing. We'll see if Red Potato can try to push. He's had an incredible recovery so far and was gaining a lot of ground and was our pole position. So I'm curious to see if his recovery can continue as we go into stage 2 of the race.
Most definitely, and I'm not sure if we missed an action or maybe Ian had a slower pit, but Gator is now sitting in P6 and Ian is behind him on P7, and Gator is just on the verge of getting out of the DRS zone for Ian, and that would put Ian in a very vulnerable situation there. We've got Maxime Boulier right behind him and Barney as well. He's actually the lead of a rather extensive train going all the way down to P11 with Duncan. Duncan is back in a position where he's able to follow cars close enough to get DRS and be fighting for positions.
Yeah, he's made the undercut, getting a little squirrely there on the inside of turn 12, but he is on the tail end of this DRS train. He'll get DRS on Era going into the backstretch. I wonder when Era may be thinking about pitting, I guess around lap 20, the hard tire runners. But we have our first few go in. Aaron has pit on the hard tires, and Seb has pit. So they're running the undercut on the alternate strat, and so they'll have medium tires and certainly a tire advantage at least for the first 5-10 laps of their stint.
Yep.
As they try to work up from where they are in P11 and 12.
I haven't spoken about the Haas drivers a lot. We've seen battles with Nathan Doan, but Seb is so far having a respectable race. He's sitting P11.
Yes.
Indeed, he's gained 3 positions from starting P14 on the grid, but he's shown that he's got pace. He's made his hard tires last a long time, and by the time he went in the pits, he was just about P4, so that's pretty good for him.
Yeah, another yellow in Sector 2. It's an Aston Martin this time. It looks like it's Aaron Altmaier.
It sure is. I think it was just a spin. He doesn't have any damage. Hudson Poole also just went into the pits, and he looks like he's going to go out of there without even losing a position to Dago.
Wow, that would be incredible. Yeah, Aaron Altmaier, maybe that was a little bit of a cold tire situation because he spun kind of on his outlap. So he is going to come out behind Dago, but Dago's got to pit soon too. So let's hop in with Hudson Poole now. He's got the cold medium tires, so he's got to be careful, right? As Nathan Doan gets, I think, his second 3-second penalty. So now he's got 6.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. But Hudson Poole is still, even a pit stop, is still effectively leading the race because of that 3-second time penalty. Oh, and the fact that Dago hasn't pit. So Hudson's in a great position.
Definitely.
And I don't think he has to push here on the cold mediums. I think he take his time, warm up nice, and kind of cruise.
Yeah, waiting to pit like that, it was one of 2 things that was going to happen. Either he was going to come out just in front of Dago, or maybe this is the better scenario of the two options he had. He's just going to go in with some DRS right in behind Dago and go in for the straight line speed there. And
yeah, he's gonna take DRS for a bit. Maybe you hang back. You know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't try to make this work in the Senna S's. There's no reason to. You know what I mean? I would hang back and then get DRS between turns 3 and 4, and then there you go.
Yeah, I think that's effectively what we're going to see. I don't think Hudson is going to wait for him any longer. And you know what? Dago knows this. He knows he's not racing Poole. His strategy is completely different. He didn't even use the DRS to defend on the position. He knows his tires are used up, so I think smart call by Dago there.
Yeah, Duncan just made a really clean move coming out of turn 3 on Era. So Duncan now takes P7. He's got a great recovery drive. Now, however, he did a pretty massive undercut. So he's on 9-lap old hard. So once Era goes into pit, remember, Era's on the alternate strat. So once Era goes into pit, Duncan will have the worst tires out of really anyone around him. So it'll be a challenge for him to keep P7. He's got to go get that DRS gap between Barney and have Barney drag him up.
Yeah, so there's only 2 drivers that have not pitted yet, and that's Dago, as we mentioned earlier, and you just noticed it. Yeah, Era's not pitted yet, so he's looking. I mean, a safety car at this point in time would be absolutely beneficial for Era there.
It would be.
but he's definitely looking to have a much better pace and be taking positions near the end of the race while everyone's going to have some used tires and he's going to be on fresh mediums.
Yep. Dago just went in, so again, yeah, his strategy is looking great. He's going to have a lot better tire strategy. He should be able to cut through the top 7-8 drivers with due time. He'll have 13 laps to do so. So I'm on with Barney. He's currently in P5, and his task will be to maintain that 1 second gap between Duncan, and it looks like he's added to it. So there's currently 2 seconds between Duncan and Barney, and with the better tire situation, Barney's in a pretty good position. Ahead of him, Maxime is 5/10 behind Ian, but I don't think Ian's really in danger right now of losing that position. So it looks like that'll continue for a couple more laps, kind of as is.
This situation, I'm seeing Duncan becoming very vulnerable very quickly and very soon to Dago. He's effectively used up all his DRS, and Dago's got a little bit more, so he's gonna try to get the DRS through the straight line between turns 13 and turn 1.
Yeah, I'd say he has to be careful too to not get double overtaken because Era is in DRS range of Dago too, but he's got 22 lap old hard, so even if he makes a move here, I think he's pulling in soon. And as you can tell, he lost some gap on the exit of turn 12. It might be time for Era to change. No, he stays out again.
He stays out.
That's
He
just
must be
because
praying for a safety car at this moment, or
I
it's
guess
got to be his last lap.
Yeah, because there's no way. Are you trying to go hard soft? 12 laps on softs in Brazil? I don't know about that. And
No.
Dago's just made the move. Dago's just made the move. Duncan trying his best to stay on the gearbox of the Aston Martin. But I think what someone's worried about right now is that if I'm Barney Goatmere, I worry about Dago closing that 2-second gap on those fresh mediums really quick. So he was balancing his ERS very well early on in the race, and it looks like he's in trouble now as there's a yellow in sector 1. There's a safety car. There it
Safety
is.
Car. I think we just lost Major Castleman, or was that Thermo?
It was one of the Alpines. I thought it was maybe Major Castleman. That was around. But that's a safety
Yeah,
car,
1 or 2.
and it paid off for Era. It paid
This
off.
is catastrophic for Alpine. They're essentially sitting P2 in the constructors right now. That will not be the case at the end of this race, unless there's an incredible turnover events between the end of the race. So now we've got a safety car, not because of driver DNF, but probably from debris. There's damage on one of the Alpines. And as you say, the biggest winner of this safety car situation is going to be Era.
Oh, yeah.
I'm seeing Colin Edwards diving into the pits as well, and he's on 3-lap old
He's
mediums.
on 3.
He's gonna go
I guess he's going for soft
softs.
tires.
Now this is a
So is
interesting
Aaron
situation.
Altmaier. Wow. That's really interesting, right? And you talked about a tough day for the Alpines too. And I mean, you gotta look at who's taking advantage of it is certainly Red Bull. Hudson, of course, leading the race. But Duncan, if you told Duncan before today that, hey, you're gonna have a quality ban, you're gonna start at the end, but the Alpines are out and you're gonna be in P7 almost at the end, I think he'd take that any day.
Definitely, and I think I saw. Wondering if I saw Williams in the back. The Williams of Colin Edwards coming out on the cold tires. I think he scraped the wall a little bit in the pits.
Oh,
I don't know
no.
if he got damage from that. His car looks kind of clean, so I think he avoided a very terrible situation on his part.
Yeah, hopefully.
Just barely. Yeah, he spun, but he's good.
So let's look at some guys who could potentially be vulnerable here after the safety car. I'm looking at Ethan Patel, who's on 8-lap old hards, and will have Era behind him on his fresh mediums that will probably be warmed up by then. I like a Big Mama Frank, who's probably got to pay attention to Graz behind him on the fresh softs. And the Alpines have been off too. So while Colin may have had a little bit of a mishap there, Colin should be poised to gain a couple positions. As Ethan Patel gets a track limit penalty under safety car. You hate to see that.
That's an awkward one. Was he just weaving around trying to get temps into his tire? And
Yeah, I'm not sure where he went a little bit wide, but I mean, let's see, his tires are 9 laps old. They're hard, so I don't think he lost grip anywhere. It just seems a little bit kind of like an unforced error. Enforced error, rather. I got error on the brain.
we're seeing some late dives in the pits. We just saw Major Castleman and Nathan Doan, P16, P17, dive into the pits. So take some time for these guys to catch up to the safety car there. So now, with 10 laps to go, I know the softs are gonna give them incredible pace and positions, but will it last a whole? I'll say 9 laps because the safety cars will have a whole run around at the track before going back in the pits. Will the softs keep their? Really, is it gonna be really worth it for the softs for 9 laps? You think?
I think for 9 laps, yeah. Look, you're at the tail end of the race stint, right? You're gonna be a little as the Haas just crashes into the wall under safety car. That was Seb. I was on with Ethan Patel, and I don't know if he just was trying to warm up his tires weird and got a little too much on the throttle, but he bashed the heck out of his front wing, and he pulls into the pit. So and he gets a 5-second
penalty.
Oh man, what a terrible turn of events for the Haas. And they were involved in some really great fights.
And the Haas voice chat right now. Oh man.
Oh man, yeah, that's tough. He's gonna lose a lot of track position there. He'll find himself at the caboose, at the tail end of everything. Now I wonder if the safety car is gonna get in this lap. They're just about bunched up. I think Aaron Altmaier is the tail end of the guys that are really there.
Absolutely. And you know what? I don't know if that was in a separate situation, but Colin Edwards went back in the pits a second time. So I think seeing him spin out in the pit, he actually did scrape his front wing.
Maybe. Well, so he'll be on fresh tires again. So Aaron Altmaier almost has an incident and bash into the back of Big Mama Frank. Ooh, gotta be careful under safety car. They need to leave each other space, John. I mean, oof.
You can tell these guys are getting a little bit anxious. They've got ants in their pants. They want to go for it. The safety car is holding them up.
Yeah, now
they're itching for a fight, and I'm really curious to see how it's gonna go. The safety car is gonna go in this lap. So for Colin Edwards and Seb, that's absolutely catastrophic. They're not even gonna be part of the race until the end, practically. I'm expecting Dago to absolutely go on the flyer. He's got 4-lap old mediums.
Dago is in a great position right now. Yeah, I'm on with Ian Krieger here. Let's switch over to the broadcast cam and watch this restart. Hudson always with a little bit of gamemanship, and he goes a little bit early, and they're off. It doesn't look like he got that great of a jump, but he'll take the lead. Gator's got some pressure on him going to the 7S's, but really, he's on the poorer stretch. Dago's already made his move. He's up 2 spots. Dago, some really close racing with Max. It's Max. Something happened to Max. Max is now off. He's in P18.
He lost a second sector of the down on the second S of the Senna turn 2, basically. I don't know if there's contact. Most possibly, it was a dive down from one of the Mercs. I don't know if that was Maxime or if it was Era, but there was definitely a dive down in the first corner, and they didn't put up Merc in a good position to make an overtake at that point. And we're seeing another Haas.
Another Haas is around on the softs too. I mean, and they're another unforced error. Dago is right on the gearbox of Ian, and you gotta think he's gonna make a move here potentially. He goes on the inside of turn 12 and dives him. Ian keeping it nice and clean. Great move from Dago, and nice job on Ian to bat. I mean, I'm sure he's frustrated they lost a position, but you know, he's probably looking at tire strategy, John, and thinking like, I don't want to lose a battle in turn 12.
Probably looking at his 3-second time penalty as well. He's got to keep Dago. He's got 7 laps to keep Dago within 3-second penalty. If he keeps it clean and doesn't get on himself a 3-second for Ian Krieger, he doesn't have to worry too much about Dago. And he could keep up to him, just keep right there behind him with the DRS train.
Yeah, there he is. So he's doing that right now. Hudson has already built a 1.6 second gap on Gator in P2, who under the radar, I mean, Gator was fighting towards the front the whole time, and here he is now in line for a potential podium with 7 laps to go. If he can hold off Dago, if he can stay within 3 seconds, and if he can hold off a charging Ian Krieger, who's currently in P4. Duncan in P5 on the 16-lap old hards. What a recovery from him. That's a race.
Seeing Thermo, who officially threw in the towel, I believe. He tried everything, just had 7 laps to go, but decided to DNF there, and that's it for him in P18.
Yeah, that was an interesting choice because I think that we were coming close to 90% of the race distance, and then he would have been able to score some points. DRS now enabled. Duncan is within DRS range of Ian Krieger, so if he can keep the gap within the Senna S's, he is going to have DRS between turns 3 and 4. Him and Peter Giordano are the biggest gainers so far in the race. Duncan up 15 spots in P5. Peter Giordano up 11 in P7. Era is followed closely behind at P6. He's trying to stay within DRS range. His battery situation looks good, so he can afford to push a little bit to try to get on the back of Duncan. And don't forget, too, his tire strategy is much better. He is on much newer, much faster, medium tires, so he'll be putting some pressure on the Duncan mechanic here in the next few laps.
Oh yeah, there's 6 laps left to go, and unfortunately for Seb, he gets another penalty there, but Hudson Pool kind of ran away with it. But everything from P2 to P6, P7 even, I'd say, nothing's for certain yet, and we're seeing a lot of incredible fights there.
Yeah, the biggest gap is 2 seconds between Peter and Big Mama Frank in P8. I'm on with Major Castleman right now, who is the lead soft tire runner. Says they're 4 laps old, but most of them under safety car. He's trying to put pressure on Red Potato, who is on 13-lap-old hard tires, or nope, 14-lap-old tires rather. But he doesn't have a lot of battery to do so, and it looks like Red Potato is going to maintain DRS with Big Mama Frank, and if he does it, it will be extremely difficult for Major Castleman to make that move without an enormous amount of battery, and he just doesn't have it. While we're watching that, though, Red Potato makes a really clean move on Big Mama Frank, and Big Mama Frank might lose 2 positions here. That was exactly what Major Castleman needed to get back to the fight. He's on the outside now, coming into turn 5. He's going to make it stick, and those tires now, did an instant happen with Big Mama Frank? It did. He's tumbling. Something happened with BMF, and he was trying to hold P10 for a little bit, and he now finds himself in P17. Tough turn of events.
Didn't catch it on my end. It looked like maybe a little bit of a pinch. We've seen it once before.
Yeah.
Whether it's been this race or other races in other divisions, trying to race side by side, wheel to wheel in Sector 2 is a risky business.
So I'm on with Major Castleman again. Again, the first soft tire runner. He's currently in P9, and he's currently behind Red Potato, having trouble making that pass stick.
P2!
We'll stay on with Major, and we can see it. There he is on the side there. Dago spun out at the beginning of Sector 1. He's tumbling down the order. He was on a solid tire strategy with 9-lap-old mediums. He's not going to make it. Major Castleman going along the inside of Red Potato. He's going to make it stick. And the tire advantage now pays dividends. Major Castleman in P7, trying to close the gap to Peter in P6. Can he get within DRS range? There's 4 laps to go. He's starting to run out of time.
And these Aston Martin drivers must be kicking themselves. So right off the start, we had both Aston Martin drivers get a drive-through penalty for jumping the gun on the race start. Fighting, Dago fought him all the way through to P2 to a point where you wonder if he'd be able to fight Hudson Pool if I did not jump the gun on the beginning of the race. And now the spin at the end of the race puts him P12 and that penalty. So this is a worst-case scenario for the drivers. Aaron on P9, and he's trying to fight and catch up to Red Potato, but does not seem to be finding as much pace as he could get.
Yeah. While that action was going on in the midfield, I'm with Duncan McCamick, who just got nicked by Arrow, took P4 on the medium tires on the inside of turn 3. He's giving DRS to Duncan, but Duncan doesn't have a lot of battery to make this thing stick. Era's out as well. He's under 10%. We can see his light flashing. Era is looking at a potential podium as he goes along the back of the gearbox of Gator and Ian Krieger on a superior tire situation. Era has P3 and or P2 in his sights with 3 laps to go.
Most definitely, Era's in a great position and a great recovery for the Mercedes drivers, because we saw him a little bit further down the pack during the race. So we're really seeing how this safety car is giving him this advantage in regards to the tire strategy. 8-lap-old mediums against 15-lap-old hards. So 3 laps to go. He's got to keep focused, put his head down, but he's also got to make sure to keep it clean. But let me tell you, Gator is not an easy client to get by.
No, he's not easy to get by, and Gator's clean himself, so you can't really rely on someone like Gator making a mistake for you to do that position, right? He's got 8-lap-old mediums, so there may start to, the grip may be different. As Hudson Pool gets a 3-second penalty, John, I don't think it's going to matter. I think he's going to run away.
Maybe he got those 3-second penalties from being a little bit distracted there.
Could be, yeah. I mean, he's had a little bit of a lonely race, so I don't. It's almost like he's just running hot laps right now. Ian Krieger is doing a hell of a job defending against Gator and Era. You know, he doesn't have DRS, so the guy in front of him, to help maintain that gap. So he's doing this right now on pure pace. Gator looking for his, what I believe, first podium of the year. It'd be great to bring Gator in here on the broadcast, but he's got a huge fight ahead of him because Era is breathing down his neck.
He's feeling the pressure, but is he really looking at Arrow? Is he focusing on Ian in front of him? Because knowing Gator, he's happy with the podium, but he wants that P2, and he's got it right there in front of him. So 2 laps to go, and there's gonna be something that's gonna happen between these 3. I could assure you that.
Yeah, I think there may be fireworks too. Let's take a look at the battery situation. I'm with Era. He's got under 10%, so he's flashing. So does Gator. So they've been using their battery to keep each other off. Ian's slightly better at 14, but they're really all in the same position, right? Duncan on the oldest set of tires, 22 Leopards. Remember, he did that massive undercut early on in lap 12. He gained a lot of track position. He's currently in P5, but he's under huge threat from Major Castleman, who's on 9-lap-old softs. But I guess the question is, John, is the tire advantage on those soft tires now gone?
I think so. I'm seeing those the end of the race with 9-lap-old tires. I don't know if they're gonna. You should be probably racing in a more defensive position instead of a more aggressive stance. But who knows? You never know if there could be a little bit of a wheel spin or a little something that could happen. But gotta be careful because those soft tires, once they start dropping off, you lose a lot of pace and very quick.
You do, yeah. There's another yellow. It looks like Colin Edwards had another incident. He's on 8-lap-old soft, so maybe he was feeling the tire wear a little bit too. As another Haas had an incident too.
Well.
That's Nathan Doan. So the Alpines and the Haases have just been kind of trading incidents as they find themselves towards the tail end of the order. But Hudson has begun the last lap. He's got an 8.7-second lead to Ian Krieger. Of course, 3 seconds of penalties. But it looks like Hudson can just kind of finish this out. Major Castleman has made the move on Duncan McCamick into the Senna S's. Where is Duncan here? Is right behind. It looks like he made it stick. I don't know if DRS is going to be there. There's another incident in Sector 3. That's cleaned up. We'll let it go. On the final lap here, everybody is going to be making their push.
You know, as I was saying, Castleman should probably be a little bit more defensive there, and I don't think he was going to be able to make it work. He's so far made it work, and we're coming up near the end of Sector 2 here. One thing we've seen often in Brazil, in real life and in this league.
Sorry, John. Aaron Woods went around the inside of Gator, almost tapped a little bit, but kept it clean, and the pressure is starting. But he goes on the inside of turn 10. He's going to make it stick. Era on the outside now of turn 11. Trying to get up to P12. P12, sorry, turn 12 rather.
I just saw Major Castleman spin out and lose it.
Era has made P3 stick.
Drag racing till the end. Hudson Pool already crossed.
Trying to steal it. Hudson Pool crossed the line. He's the winner in Brazil, followed by Ian Krieger, currently in P2. It's a fight to the finish. Era makes it P3 by like a half a tenth, John. Gator, he just ran out of track, and he almost had it.
Just barely made it. Oh,
what a finish.
Gut-wrenching for Gator, but what a finish, and absolute, gotta tell these boys, great job for keeping it clean.
Great job for keeping it clean. Something we missed at the end, John. Duncan may have had an incident. He's in P15.
I think it was included with the Major Castleman. That the last few corners, there was so many things going on at the same time. I think Major Castleman and him came together before turn 12, and they had a coming together there, and I saw Major Castleman completely lose it. I don't know if Duncan was involved in that.
Wow, I don't know. And here it is. We teased this in the beginning with the hype video. The Hudson Hornet, winner in Week 5 in Brazil, takes P1 with room to spare, and he'll extend his Drivers' Championship lead. Just an outstanding performance from Red Bull. Before that last lap incident, John, this was the perfect race for them. Their rivals were out of it. They were in charge for bad points. Kind of got taken away from Duncan there at the end, but not steal from Hudson. He dominated today.
Absolutely. But I'm looking at the constructor standings. Unfortunate race for Alpine and Aston Martin tonight. Ferrari really got some work in there, got some decent points, so maybe even more than Aston Martin. We'll see that by the end of tonight.
Gator and Era had a crazy good fight. McLaren and Mercedes and the constructors are only 7 points away from each other. So, with reason, these guys really battled it out till the end. We got treated for absolutely the best race of the weekend.
Yeah, that was insane. There was action all the way up and down. I feel really good for Era too. I mean, he was able to secure a podium. I think that's his first one of the season, and they had an incredible race. And um, as I try to get these guys into the waiting room, um, the strategy just worked out perfectly. And he made that call on lap 22, right, John? I mean, he stayed out, and we were like, man, I don't know if that's a good idea. And lo and behold, there's the safety car, and he finds himself in P3.
I mean, his prayers were literally answered at that moment.
Yeah.
Also, gotta give a shout out to Red Potato. You know, he had an incident right at the beginning of the race. You know, fell back down, tumbled down, and finished P6. So that puts McLaren, despite the situation, getting themselves really good points, finishing in P4 with Gator and P6
Great
with Red
points,
Potato.
yeah. Gator's going to be so mad at himself, right? And mad that he didn't secure that podium, but he's right there. And John, I got to see it last year when he drove for Alfa Romeo. He's incredible. Every day he can get on there and compete for a podium. As
I
we
think
get
he's
these
one
guys.
of the most consistent drivers out there.
Yeah.
You don't often realize it when you're racing with Gator and you go next to him or you start fighting him or you see him coming up behind you and you kind of just realize as you're fighting him, goodness, that guy is able to just keep it clean and really do some really good work. And he's got these moments where he finds a lot of pace and does really good work. So yeah, he's gonna feel terrible for that one. But honestly, he did everything perfectly to the letter. The only problem was the Mercedes behind him or the Mercedes in front of him in this situation did it just a little bit better and had a little bit of luck with their safety car.
I want to bring in Era right now. He's one in the waiting room right now. Let's bring him in. Era, welcome to the broadcast, man. Thanks for hopping in. Incredible performance tonight, dude. P3. Is that your first podium here in ZRL?
Hey there, good night, everybody. Yeah, I don't really remember if it's my first podium here. I guess it's not. Maybe the second or third.
Yeah. This season, though,
yeah, this season I think it's the second. This season I had a third before.
It was
yeah, what a day.
It was we were watching.
What a day. I had been spun like twice or three times. Was terrible. I really got to say that I'm really disappointed of what I saw today in general. That make me really sad because I always have so much fun here, but today was horrible. People were horrible. Yeah, after the first half of the race, I had a good recovery with the new medium tires.
Yeah.
And I could make a lot of overtakes. I knew that my tires would be better than everybody else, so it was time to attack. And yeah, I think P3 after all the madness I suffered today is a good result, so I will keep it for sure.
Yeah, I think it was great. John and I were watching you on I think it was lap 22, right before the safety car, where you drive right by the pits. And I was like, man, he's got to be struggling on those hard tires. I can't believe he didn't go in there. And John, I think you said, oh, he's got to be waiting for a safety car. And we thought it was risky, and it came out. I mean, was that your strat? Were you just kind of crossing your fingers and hoping one would hit before you pitted?
Yeah, of course. I was telling my teammate every time that I need a safety car, and it came exactly when I needed, when I was about to pit for the medium tires, and I knew that nobody else would have new medium tires, so soft tires to the end could be good for the first laps after the safety car leaves the track, but medium tires would be optimal from the end, and it worked. If I had like one more lap, maybe I will take Ian, but Hudson was uncatchable today. There was no way to catch him, so that was good. It was a good P3, a nice podium, a nice recovery. I had a lot of fun. The the madness I saw today.
Yeah, it was an incredible race.
Thank you, everybody. Have a good night.
Thanks, Era. You too.
Take care.
All right, let's bring in Ian Krieger here, John, and we'll ask him. Ian, how's it going, man? A strong P2. Congratulations.
Thank you.
As the race was kind of evolving, it became evident that Hudson was kind of going to have the pace to run away with it. So, was your target P2 for probably the second half logistically, or what was your strategy going in as you started to see everybody's pace evolve on track?
I just ran my own race, and unfolded to P2. Safety car didn't really help me that much, but other than that, everything was great.
Yeah, I know. Did you think that a couple more laps, Era got really lucky with the safety car and did it really well. So he got the fresh medium tires. Do you think he could have put more pressure on you if he had another couple laps? I mean, was your P2 in danger if the race was longer?
Probably. I'm not too sure. Because I was running really low downforce, so my top speed was nuts. I think it was like I was running 1710.
Yeah.
So people they couldn't really pass me. I wasn't even dumping, and they were. So.
Yeah. John, what did you think? I want to pass it over to you.
Yeah. Honestly, I think most of it was covered. I'm mostly a little bit shocked and reacting how low of a downforce you put there on the rear. Now, obviously, I know you're not gonna reveal your secrets on how you kept that car so stable throughout the entire race on broadcast for everybody, to possibly copy you. But were there moments where running such a setup with the tire the tire wear was possibly catching you off guard? Was it getting a little bit unstable there, and where you had to figure out your strategy around that?
Tire wear wasn't really an issue. I was running really high tire pressures, so my tires were fine then.
Did you say you were running really high tire pressures, Ian?
Yeah.
Wow, on Brazil, and you didn't have a tire wear issue?
Nope.
Wow, that's incredible. I know that the tire wear model has kind of been throwing a lot of drivers for a loop, me included. So it seems like you got a secret there unveiled. But hey, man, congratulations on P2, Ian. You and Peter are making a push. He had a great recovery race.
Yeah.
Really looking forward to seeing what you guys can do to shake up constructors. All right, John, I'm going to bring in Hudson.
The one and only.
Here he is, Hudson Poole, the Hudson Hornet. Man, you kind of had a lonely race today, man. You absolutely dominated. P1, congratulations.
Thank you, man.
Dude, I mean, I feel like you had it in the bag from like lap 6, where you had like a 2-3 second gap. This is kind of a fan favorite track. Like, obviously, you have incredible pace at Brazil. Do you like driving it? Did you spend a lot of time tweaking your setup? How did you prep?
Yeah, I do not like this track. I don't feel the flow on it very well, or like, I personally just don't like driving it. But I think Friday I did like a Grand Prix, like 50%er, and then Saturday I did some time trial. I actually put up a pretty good time. And then today I did some more practice for like 30 minutes to an hour, and then I headed into the race. And what was his name? Like Red Potato. He surprised me in qualifying. That guy was really, really quick.
Yeah, John, he was kind of catching us by surprise too. All this reserve comes in and he's putting in 107s.
Most definitely. I think it was the first time we saw this Red Potato guy, and even in the YouTube chat, a lot of people were questioning who is this Red Potato. We were really excited for the first the beginning of the race. Curious to see how Hudson would handle Red Potato coming in on the pole position like that. So can you take us through the first 3 corners? Like, you seem to gain the jump a little bit on him on a good start, and I think Red Potato maybe outraced himself a little bit. Was there any contact by any chance? I don't think there was.
No. Well, we had a very, very little tap going into turn 1, but it didn't affect either of us. Yeah, I didn't really know what happened. I overtook him around the outside, and then slowly sort of dropping, and then I think he spun. But yeah, if he continues to race here, he definitely will be a challenger for a win. That's for sure.
Yeah, he showed incredible pace today. Someone else who's really quick too was your teammate Duncan McCamick, and he started at the back, and recovered really nicely to what looked like a P5, but then I don't know if it was desync because I saw in general he was happy about a P5, but he kind of showed up on P15. Do you have any insight into like Duncan's end of the race and how you guys are communicating throughout the whole night?
You know, he did get P5. He crossed the line, and then all of his shit. I don't know what was it. A lot of his stuff started desyncing.
Yeah.
And you know, he got P5. That's for sure.
I thought
But
he did too.
yeah, and then we were communicating. Neither of us had an engineer, so we were just trying to give each other information. And yeah.
I mean, it was clutch for you because Aston Martins with the couple drive-through penalties. The Alpines had a really rough night. You guys just kind of you need to score big points today to extend that gap, and you really did. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. Have a good night.
All right.
If I can add a little piece of information, it's very possible that what we saw was desync.
Yeah.
As well in D4, and as being a steward, I'm also seeing certain tickets pop up in regards to that on video evidence where post-race it looks like there's a desync, and especially if there's like maybe a penalty that has to be applied, the penalty is applied like over and over and over again. So some guys are shown to drop and tumble down the standings, but in reality they're finishing P5, P6, P7 or whatever.
Yeah.
So that could be just a game bug there. So luckily Duncan did not have any major moments in the last 3 corners and did finish P5.
Dude, this was an incredible race, man. Thank you so much for jumping in the booth with me last minute. It's been fantastic to broadcast with you. Next week, Belgium. What are your thoughts on Spa?
Spa is one of my favorite tracks. I think it's also a fan favorite track for a lot of people, with Razion and Eau Rouge. And I mean, it's Spa-Francorchamps, so I mean, everybody's very excited for this, such a fun track. And that's going to be my comeback in Aston Martin as well for Division 2. So I'm looking forward to potentially, broadcasting Division 4 and racing Division 2. And I think for me coming back for this track is going to be a fun one. So I'm just wholly excited. I can't wait for this week to finish and we get back into it for another weekend of really excited racing. We've had great racing in Brazil this weekend across all divisions, and I mean that's another reason why ZRL is just a great place to race, where we're getting some dramatic some drama I would say this week, but great racing all around together.
I think it was great racing too, especially at the top, right? I mean, these guys know how to keep it clean and quick. And I don't know, man. If your Sunday night's free, I may poach you for D1 again because I had a really fun time tonight. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, same time next week. Join us for week 6 in Spa. Definitely a favorite track of ours. Can Red Bull keep increasing their lead? Can the Hudson Hornet keep being the Hudson Hornet? Or is someone like Red Potato going to come in and shake things up? Can't wait to see you guys again. Take care.